is
What you
Deadpool
saying? Okay.
better have a lot more characters than we've seen so far. We'll probably see it, right? We'll probably see.
They're playing things real close to the vest right now, man. Come on, like, I mean, let's keep it a hundo, because they're showing us enough of the cameos for us to be like, okay, I can't wait to see this nostalgia. They do the same thing. They did the same thing with X-Men '97, right? They're giving us the nostalgia treatment, but we know Cassandra Nova, in my opinion, she's working for somebody. She's a villain, but I think she's working for somebody. And I have my theories on that already. F it. Let's just say what my theory is. I feel like she's probably working with Kang, because Kang's not dead. Kang's not out of the MCU. They may have made it seem that way in the Loki series, but Kang's not out of the MCU. My speculation is based on a feel, based on a couple of things that I've seen so far, based on the fact that we saw the damn Doctor Strange ring that came out of nowhere, that most likely Kang is in there somewhere, probably working with Cassie Nova. Maybe the Beyonder is a part of this crap, right? Maybe they want to go after the Beyonder for some whatever particular reason. And then now Doctor Strange is just like, okay, here's Deadpool, Wolverine. I want to recruit you because I need a team for this whole multiversal war that's about to start. By the way, do you think that we're going to see Loki in Deadpool?
I almost...
Or is it like before Loki, do you think?
So we know they reshot the ending of Loki. Yeah. The last two episodes were slightly different.
Were Jonathan Majors just in case what happened type of reshoots.
Yeah. I don't know that the ending of Loki was wrong. The reason I don't know that is because Loki created the Yggdrasil timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Like the tree.
Yeah.
And then we saw that tree in the end of What If season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no way that they edited the end of What If season 2 to include that tree. And you're seeing a lot more content now that still shows the timeline.
The timeline and the
OG way.
Yep.
Even in Deadpool and the things we're seeing the OG thing, which
X-Men '97. Yep.
First, I'm gonna say something. They messed up the timeline.
When you say stuff like that, it makes me brace myself. You said that they are. How did they mess up the timeline?
The blip, Endgame took place 5 years later.
Okay.
And everything that is happening right now is happening in a future, like up to a point. The MCU had a relatively simplified timeline. It wasn't 100%, right? It was like, we all know that the events of Iron Man 2, Captain America, and Thor, and Hulk, all of those events took place the week before the events of the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Loki...
Crazy ass week for
Nick Fury's big week. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
Nick Fury's big week. All of those things happened.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man 2 made the illusion that Coulson had to go to Arizona to get the hammer, to find the hammer. At the end of it, Incredible Hulk, Tony showed up at the end to talk to Ross.
Yep.
Banner was gone for a few months because there was that end credit scene where he was in Brazil, or I think it was Brazil, and he was under control. He was controlling his abilities.
He was trying to control her, right? But then well, they showed the green eye, so he was probably about to turn at that point.
That was it. Yeah, he had control over it at that point, and then that's why, like, that's my secret. I'm always angry, kind of thing. Yeah. So that all took place around the same time, but give or take. So that Avengers took place when it came out in 2011, 2010. I don't remember.
2011. Yeah, 2011. That was the first. No, was it 20? It was the same year that we had the Cap movie, the first Cap movie, and the first Thor movie, right? And then I think that came out after, because they kind of rushed in
2012
those two movies.
May 4th.
Okay. So the Cap and Thor came out the year before then, I think. Okay.
The movies came out, but Avengers took place around 2012. Right?
Yeah.
And then the same things happened. We got a little bit of different time, like the Guardians of the Galaxy took place around the same time the first Avengers took place. A little bit after, most likely, because the character that played the guy who was the head of the Chitauri was killed by Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy, but he was not killed at the end credit scene when he talks to Thanos. So like a little bit after. And then we were all fine. And then there was 5 years later after Infinity War. And Infinity War took place when Infinity War came out. So they did a 5-year time jump. And I think they were in 2027 at the end of that, by the time that all ended.
Is that when Endgame
2025?
Yeah.
I don't... when did Endgame come out? Let me check that too.
Or is it 2024?
No, not Endgame.
Isn't it this year? This year is when all this stuff happens, right?
What? I don't know. Let me find out.
Like, I think Endgame is when
War release was 2018. So 2023 was the 5 years later.
Okay.
The beginning of Endgame took part about 2 months, because that's how long Nebula and Tony were stranded.
Okay.
About 2 months in space. 2 or 3, I don't remember. So like they did that, they came home, Tony recuperated, we'll give it another month. And then they went to that planet and killed Thanos.
Cut off Thanos' head.
Yeah. And then 5 years after that, so again, not a full year, maybe a couple of months after. So 2018 is when that came out. We'll say 2023.
Yeah.
The blip happened, right? They all came back. We saw the ramifications of them all coming back in Spider-Man Far From Home. We saw it.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like 5 years of horrible things happened to the world. The world started overcoming probably after the 3rd year. They probably got their shit together. We are now going, like, internally, like, Eternals happens after the blip. Shang-Chi happens after the blip. These are all post-blip things.
Yep.
Loki happens after the blip, obviously. Okay. WandaVision, because she was blipped, you know? Like, everything that we've seen has taken place after the blip. After the events of Endgame. This has not all been in 1 year. Captain Marvel was in the Shang-Chi post-credit scenes, right? The Marvels is the most recent event to happen in the Marvel Universe. It has to be, because Photon's gone. Nick Fury is back up on the thing, so that was after Secret Invasion or whatever. They've given us multiple years, not weeks, not months, years. T'Challa died.
Yes, yeah.
T'Challa died, and they made it clear that it wasn't like, oh, he's back. Like, no, he suffered and died.
Died, yep.
Like, and they tried to save him and they couldn't. So that was months. Like,
whatever he had, vibranium couldn't save as well. Now, obviously, we know, of course, why they went that direction, but you got to think also about the ramifications of what that really means from an MCU perspective too.
He had a kid, and that kid was not a baby. Yeah, that was like a 3-year-old.
Yeah. Or was he 5? He looked like he was 5.
He might have been born from pre-blip. You know what I mean? Like that might have been the last time he got some. We don't know. Yeah. The point is, time has passed so much, and it's really hard now for us because we know we're not in current. We know it doesn't matter what year it takes place. They never had to clarify any year, but they did. And because they did, the timeline has gotten really crazy. We know that Loki happened. We know that at the end of Loki, the entirety of the TVA was rebranded, basically. They are now protecting timelines.
And basically, Loki was essentially going on while other events were simultaneously happening. Because remember, Quantumania, we saw what happened with that Kang. Kang got sucked into whatever that zone was. I forgot what it's called. But right at the very end of Loki is when they were like, yeah, the only thing that we've heard so far is about this one getting sucked into whatever on what did they say, adjacent 616 realm is what
616 adjacent realm. Yep.
So that was happening while Loki was figuring out the whole situation. There's a lot going on. There's so much going on in that timeline, and I think that's really important to mention in this whole grand scheme of, because this is now let's track it. Let's go to talk about, like we said, Deadpool. When is this happening? It's so hard to figure out when this is happening.
Here's the problem with multiverses. Because the TVA exists outside of time, and because Loki has changed the TVA, there is no other TVA.
Yep.
Because that's how multiverses work. There is no sacred timeline and everything gets pruned. There is now all of the Marvel timelines.
There is.
Doctor Strange confirmed that.
If you did a Nexus event, that just creates a whole separate timeline, and Loki just like, all right, yeah, I guess I'll grab that one too.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, this, I don't know why. It's.
So I almost wonder, was it, this sounds terrible, but was it better when He Who Remains is just pruning them? was that better? I don't know.
It has to be. No, it has to be. If okay, here's the problem. If it wasn't better, then everything that's happened is irrelevant.
Yeah, true.
Right? Like it has to have been better, true, or else it never would have happened.
You're right. Well, I mean, the whole idea of absolute so let's make the correlation. We have absolute points that were discussed now in that show, which we'll get to eventually. Maybe not. Who knows? It was absolute points that were.
We made it. We made it 14 minutes and 41 seconds.
14 minutes. Absolute points were mentioned in X-Men 97.
We tried.
And we did try. If
for anyone who's not, for anyone watching, like we had a bet to see how long we could go without talking about X-Men 97.
That was the game. So if you clicked on this video, you said, well, damn it, X-Men, why did I not talk about X-Men 97? It's in the title. Well,
we have an entire, like, a bunch of things to talk about, too, that are at 97, and then unrelated to that, a bunch of X-Men. Like, we were so ready for it. We just, 14 minutes. It was close. It was close.
Guys. We almost did it.
We almost got there. But absolute points.
With absolute points, right? That whole concept is stupid.
Yep.
If it wasn't better for He Who Remains to prune things.
Yep.
Because the whole idea was you need to follow this script in regards to what is happening specifically in this timeline. So therefore, the only way for you to be able to stop Thanos was by Iron Man dying. The only way also, Thanos himself is an absolute point because Doctor Strange
had to happen.
Right, the blip had to happen, and Doctor Strange specifically looked and said, "I looked at 14 million options. How many do we win? 1." That means that every single damn time this man snapped, absolute point. So the whole idea of absolute points would be stupid if
I'm still mad about that.
Wasn't better.
I'm still mad about that. Doctor Strange looks at 14 million outcomes.
Come on, he lied.
And only one of them was successful.
He lied.
Did you look at did you sort from bottom to top? Did you go through the 14 million outcomes that sucked and got one that was passable? We're like, we're good. We'll stop here. I'm done looking. Like, I still don't believe that. I still believe
he lied, bro.
That because remember the most important thing, that there's a lore here. There's a lore. The Ancient One.
I feel like you're giving me a video idea here, by the way.
The Ancient One. I mean, this is an ancient conversation, but the Ancient One has said, no matter how often she used the Time Stone to look into her future, she could never look past this point. Mm-hmm. That was her death. This is unavoidable for her. No action she took would ever lead. That's under Kang's rule. There was never going to be an action that she could take that would lead to her surviving. Because if there was, it would have been pruned.
Right.
Doctor Strange used the Time Stone to look into 14,600,000,000 quadrillion things, right?
Yep. Whatever he said.
Which means the only futures he saw are the ones that he survived.
Yep.
And won. There were guaranteed of those 14 million futures where they won and he died. Which obviously he's like, I'm not going to choose that one. That's a terrible one.
No. But no. Whoa. I need to survive this.
What probably happened is Doctor Strange saw a future where he's gone and then he's immediately back at the battlefield. And that they win that. That's probably the only future he saw and was like, well, this seems fine. I also believe that he saw a future where the Avengers were gone. Mm-hmm. And that was the best future. Because without the Avengers, none of this would have happened to Doctor Strange. He would never have had to experience this.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, I'm not entirely unconvinced that Doctor Strange couldn't have soloed that encounter. Any of the encounter. I just don't think he could have. They tried to show it. Like, they showed him being held when he was trying to use the Time Stone instead of doing the smart thing, which was, like, standing far the fuck away.
Yep.
And if something went wrong, using the Time Stone. And then being like, let's try again. No, he was like right in the middle of it for no reason. With the one thing that they wanted. And even Tony was like, hey man, How about you put that shit in your back pocket? We might need it. Did we? Yeah. Did you use it? No.
No. Which, of course, Thanos made a mockery of. He's like, yeah, you never once used your strongest weapon.
I don't know. Yeah, he's like, hey, man, you got this magic device that lets you... literally, arguably, the most powerful of all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the Time Stone being the one that makes you oopsies.
It's like, oh, so this is not good.
Yeah.
Oh, Star-Lord's an idiot. Let's rewind it.
Yeah, but there was a point. He has the Time Stone, and he could have just been like, freeze, Thanos, hammer time, and then it was. I hate time travel for that reason. I've been very clear on that, because time travel.
Time travel and multiverse in general, I don't like either one of them. They convolute stories, and there's always so many plot holes.
They leave. You have to be one of two things: phenomenal at writing, lazy at writing. There's no middle ground.
If you're middle, it just leaves more plot holes. You have to be great, or you have to just you have to like really suck at it, or to then create multiple plot holes to the point where all the plot holes just eventually cancel themselves out. It doesn't matter.
We can both agree that we enjoyed the movie Endgame. It was an enjoyable movie. We liked it.
It was enjoyable. Yeah.
Cool. We both enjoy it.
I know where you're going, but go ahead.
They had just enough Pym particles for one shot. Mm-hmm. Or, hear me out, this is going to blow your fucking mind. They had just enough Pym particles to go back and get Hank Pym to make more Pym particles. Boop. Hank, we need you to make an infinite amount of Pym particles. You have all the time in the world. Time isn't real. We can time travel now. This is Hank, shut up, make Pym particles. We can do it. I'm not sure. Hank, shut up, make Pym particles. We can do it. If you don't, we'll put you back. We'll get one that will.
We'll leave you right now.
Yeah, we will just put you right back.
As a matter of fact, we're going to steal some Pym particles that you have right there on the table. And then we're going to go back to
which Captain America did.
This is why time travel and multiverse.
It was
so...
here. Okay, so here's the thing. All of this makes sense if Kang was the one pulling the strings.
Okay, fine.
That's the whole point. All of it makes sense.
How exactly, though?
Shut up.
See, that's the loophole. There's always this.
You're asking the wrong questions. No, like, but that's what I'm saying about lazy writing or good writing. Good writing can say that Kang made sure that all of the timelines where other options were pruned. Mm-hmm. So the only option Doctor Strange saw was that one, which was the option where everybody forgot that they had time travel and could go to any time they wanted and get it. They were like, we got to pull this off. That makes sense because the person in control can see the variations. Keep in mind, this is not a theory. This is just reality. The sacred timeline exists exclusively to create the reality that the variant of Kang, He Who Remains, was the only Kang that would show up. So all of the divergent sacred timeline, which was multiple different ones, they all converged. That's why they branched out and then came back. They branched out. And that's why some of them went like wee, and some of them went straight up. every time a branch would lead to a different Kang, not converge on this Kang who would then fix everything, prune it. That's how he controlled it. That it's literally the same way you train AI bots. Like, it's like, hey, are you gonna do this? No, fuck off. Next one. Fuck off. Next one. Like, destroy all versions of things that don't lead to the path that I want.
Yeah, that you want. Yep.
The second he was stabbed to death by Sylvie in Loki, all of the timelines branched. Which means the second it happened, not over time, the moment he was dead, all of the other Kang showed up immediately. They had to, because all of those branches not only aren't pruned, were never pruned.
Were never pruned, yep.
They could never have been pruned because he's gone. The sacred timeline falls apart.
It's up to stop it, right? Exactly.
Oh, and that's why at the end of Quantumania, we got variants of... We didn't see another Kang. There was no other Kang. There was just He Who Remains Kang. That's why in Quantumania, we got Kang. That's why in Loki Season 2, we got a displaced variant of Kang. Whatever. And that's why we saw all the other versions of Kang throughout time in the Council of Kangs being like, yo, they didn't know He Who Remains existed. Because that wasn't a reality they saw. Because he didn't. If he existed, they never would have seen him. There's a theory that the Kang the Conqueror from Quantumania was the He Who Remains. Like,
we made
and
that, yeah.
I know. I'm trying to give you credit. There's a theory, and that makes a lot of sense, because that is the one. That is the first version of Kang we saw after this. That's
the only one that really goes against the council.
Yeah. And they call him the Exile. Where was he exiled to? The quantum realm. Where did he get sucked into?
The negative zone.
Who cares?
Who cares?
How did he discover Eliath? I think time is cyclical. I think that what we're seeing is the same. I think Loki always does that. I think this always happens. And all of this was to say, when is Deadpool taking place? That's all that matters to me. Because the TVA that Deadpool is in is not Loki's TVA.
It's not.
They're still
like, when does this happen?
Yeah, you can even see it too. See if I can pull it.
Because Eliath is not tamed, as he said that he had tamed it.
So this is the current Loki season 2, and this is the old sacred timeline branch design.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So we know they didn't change this.
And the TVA is outside of time, so it's not like it's a different time.
Well, time does exist in the TVA. They did establish that.
That's true. That's true. They did say
but
that.
It doesn't run the same as the time outside.
Yeah.
Because I believe the TVA and his palace all take place in a bubble at the end of time. And they kind of showed that in the Loki season 1, where, like, first of all, time was a loop. It was a circle. I don't believe that is how time is supposed to be. I believe that is how it was designed to be. And I think the reason it was designed that way is because I believe it was designed that way because Loki is always the person who he's the only person who can take over for Kang. He Who Remains. Mm-hmm. It has to be a Loki because he's the only one capable for whatever reason.
Well, to be fair, if you look at it from this perspective, right? He Who Remains is never meant to be someone that's supposed to be pruning time, holding a sacred timeline together. His very nature is to conquer. And he's playing a role that he was never really meant to play.
But he was. He was Kang the Conqueror. Kang the Conqueror conquered everything. That's why when Loki saw the giant statue of Kang, it was of Kang. Mm-hmm. The pictures of Kang's face, it was Kang. Kang was the person who created the TVA. Mm-hmm. Kang created the TVA so that it could lean to the point where he could defeat all other Kangs, and he did conquer.
Yeah.
He created a reality where no matter what happened, he was in charge. Two theories. One theory that he is just because he's outside of time does not mean he is not affected by time. This is the first theory. So he is always doomed to assume that that particular pair of Lokis are capable of taking over the responsibility. Mm-hmm. And that will always happen. And that what we would see is the breakage of that. Like the eventual has to be broken of that. Mm-hmm. The second possibility is he's not affected by time.
Okay.
This is the first... No, because we know it wasn't the first time he talked to a Loki. We know for a fact it wasn't.
Yeah,
because he was surprised by how many times Loki had ended that conversation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Remember? He was surprised by how powerful. He was like, "Oh shit!" When Loki figured out how to stop time on his own.
When you said,
"Yeah." So there is a chance that he was wrong, and his understanding of the sacred timeline worked just long enough for him to get beaten by a Loki. That's the two possible theories.
That's what I'm saying though. I'm saying it as, so I'm thinking about this now as like the watcher, right?
Sure.
Who's watching how all these things are happening. And there is a much more powerful entity, if you want to put it that way, that's at place here, that's at work here, watching over all of these things. Ultimately, what I'm saying is, it is in the very nature of Kang to continue to conquer. So him, basically what he was doing was just basically playing house as being He Who Remains, but that is not his realistic nature. There needs to always be a multiversal war, because that is what creates the balance in the universe. So this whole idea of Ouroboros, if we're going back to that again, like at the end of the day, he needs to be, sure, he could be He Who Remains, but he also needs to get off the damn throne so that Loki could usurp that throne in a sense and create this multiversal imbalance that ultimately leads to secret wars that ultimately then resets everything all over again. That's kind of like where I'm at with it.
An old quote, and again, from like 1600s, it's misquoted, and Alexander wept, seeing as he had no more worlds to conquer. When for more worlds the Macedonian cried, he wist not Thetis in her lap did hide, yet another yet a world reserved for you, to make more great than that he did subdue. And the idea was Alexander the Great, who is say the
inspiration
blueprint, but the kind of for Kang the Conqueror, historically and especially in comics, is that if you are a conqueror, you must continue to conquer. Kang is the conqueror, the exile. He who remains is the end. There's nothing left to conquer. He's already created the ultimate reality where he will live forever. He's bored. The third option, he was bored. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see if I give a Loki the power. Can I still do it?
And he still conquer? Will that create more for him to conquer?
He's already conquered all. The only thing you can do when you've beaten a game is to play a different game.
You know, so this is interesting. A lot of people have said that Kang is not a good villain. You know, he got defeated by ants, which, to be fair,
he did.
That wasn't a good showing of him. But this is
that's just poor writing.
This is a really interesting villain. And I did a lot of comic research on Kang, and he has some really interesting stories. Of course, a lot of them always tie back to Avengers. Some stories, of course, with like Moon Knight. He's a really interesting villain. That is always the reason why he's so interesting to me is because technically he is a regular human being that just has advanced knowledge because of the time where he was born in and because of his lineage a little bit too. That pretty much basically utilized what he had available to him to become a incredibly powerful villain. And they have never really explored that in the MCU. Instead, they made him what he was, got defeated. This is why I go back to saying this. They should have never brought him into Quantumania. That was a really dumb move. He should have been like Thanos, where we never saw him until Avengers King Dynasty.
Walk with me. Hold on.
To be fair.
So I'm looking at the first trailer. This is a poster, but it doesn't. I mean,
why am I here? Walk with me.
Is that the tree? It shows timeline. I don't know if that's the same, if they just took the tree and turned it on its side. Because it looks like a whole bunch of timelines are coming in, going through this thing, the hourglass, and then splintering again.
Yeah, I see the lines.
So is this post? You know, we see.
Well, the giveaway is really like that timeline, and well, it can't.
It's right here.
Showing it right now.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's not. I have to
out of focus
minimize it.
at the moment.
It's still not here. Cool. Cool.
It's over to the side of that screen, and I know where it is.
Yeah. Too hard. There.
Right.
It's right there.
Yes, there it is. There it is.
There it is.
That's
right
the
there.
old school one of it.
Now, he could be saying, and there's also one right here, he could be saying this was what it was, because he's catching him up, and now we're different. But he is fighting the TVA.
Yes. In the void, might I add, too.
In the void. The TVA kidnap him with prune sticks, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
Those are prune sticks, which they don't need anymore. Unless they're pruning Kangs.
You appear to have soiled yourself.
Cinematic universe is about to change forever.
Daniel Radcliffe Wolverine.
No, that's not Daniel Radcliffe.
No, that's Eggsy.
It's Eggsy, yeah.
Yeah.
They just released another trailer, by the way, like 2 days ago.
A little teaser. Is it like a 40-second teaser or something like that?
You're just stand.
Final trailer.
Before joining your little X-Force team,
Let's fix this cinematic universe.
Out.
I'm gonna ask you for
Looks like
one
a-
thing. Mind putting your mask back on?
Super hard to eat while I'm wearing it.
It's super hard to eat when you're not.
There is a
Well,
place
okay.
called the Void. There you will meet your team. This Wolverine let down his entire world.
But he can help us with the box office. Huh. All right, finally, Age.
Guys, I offer you
Okay.
a deal. Join me and together we will get out of this place.
We need more than one Wolverine to save this universe.
I know someone.
Now this is
Bad
something
Wolverine.
else.
Sorry. Okay.
They pruned us.
Some of this just looks like it's just things pulled from previous trailers.
Nothing.
Who's this?
Want to talk about what's haunting?
Is this not?
This is a look
Oh, someone made it up. Gross.
Who's that? Screen Culture?
Screen culture. I hate screen culture.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I thought they did release another one.
So there's like a teaser poster I think that came out, and there was like a little 30-second clip where they showed that it's not really I think it was like an extended version of the trailer. I think that's what it was. Like an extended version of the trailer.
I swear I thought I saw one that wasn't that fake one. Because it was the
It may
one
have
where they
been.
were sitting at the
It was the one that were sitting in that little pizza shop, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
the 50s diner. Well, I'm not looking anymore. I'm done.
That's
I'm
fine.
done trying.
I was just, yeah, all right.
Yeah. But like I wasn't kidding months ago when I said this Deadpool's got a lot of work to do. It has to make
A lot
everybody
of heavy
forget.
lifting.
Yeah, it doesn't have to answer all the questions in the world. It doesn't have to do that.
No.
It has to make everybody forget all of the bad fucking movies. Because, and I'm going to tell you this, there's not enough goodwill left. 97's fixing a lot of that. But there's not enough goodwill left.
It's a different world though. I'm telling it's
The last 3 Marvel movies have damaged them. And we'll get into that because I have a thing on this. The last have damaged them. All Phases 4 was bad. But the last 3 movies and the TV shows have tainted their brand. Period.
what were the last 3 movies again? The Marvels.
Quantumania, Thor, Love and
Quantumania.
Thunder.
Okay, and then we did have. There was one good movie in there. Was there? Guardians 3, but that was Phase 4 though. That was Phase 4.
Yeah, well, Phase 4, here.
Because Guardians was
Guardians,
Guardians was Phase
Quantumania, Guardians.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guardians, you're right. Guardians was I don't even know why they're calling this Phase 5. They should have just lumped it all in. So, Marvel's was terrible. Guardians was fine. But here's the problem with Guardians. It didn't do anything.
Let me fix the Marvels for a second. The Marvels I personally don't think the Marvels was terrible. It had a terrible villain, so therefore the movie failed to land with the audience. And then people, I'm gonna get chastised for this probably, but who the F cares? Whatever. I don't believe that when people say certain things like the MCU is a problem, that they're necessarily wrong per se. I do think that there's been a little bit of too heavy-handed in that direction, but I do think that there are people who exasperate those things, and because of that, the Marvels really never had a chance. Because if you ask me the question, was the Marvels terrible? I would tell you no. It was a mediocre film that you probably shouldn't ever spend any money on to go see in the theaters. Because let's be real, it wasn't that good. But it wasn't a terrible film per se. But I think that because here's my thing. I don't subscribe to the whole MCU thing. I don't subscribe to the whole this thing is too woke. But how about we try not to piss off that crowd a little bit? Just like, don't make Gaia the most powerful character ever in the MCU. How about that? How about we don't? I'm going to stop there because I feel like I'm already ahead of myself.
Tag me in.
Go ahead. There you go.
First of all, I disagree. I think The Marvels was a clusterfuck shit show of a movie. I think it had no...
That's fine.
I don't know who... I don't care. I don't know who was supposed to care. The premise was weak at best.
The villain was terrible, though.
The premise was weak at best. Villain. Because of some bullshit somewhere, all three of these people, whose powers are pseudo-related, in that shut up, don't think about it, now got quantum entangled so that the premise at best was flaky.
That's fair.
You introduced...
Before you continue, I think the reason why I say it's not a terrible movie is because I really liked Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
And also, I'm a man of culture.
Tiana Paris's ass, I know.
Tiana Paris?
Yeah.
But yeah, proceed, go ahead.
No. You nailed it. I'm a pro wrestling fan, man. I love watching people do moonsaults and choke slams through tables. But that can't be the whole match. I gotta see more. Like I gotta see some stuff happening.
Fair. That's fair.
You can't just be like, look, it's Tiana Paris's ass and this 16-year-old girl who's really happy to be there. Cool. Now give me a movie.
Fair. That's fair.
Okay, so that's the first thing you said that I'm like, no. The Marvels felt cold.
Okay.
Every location felt unfleshed out. They didn't feel like they were traveling to worlds. They felt like they were traveling to sets. The fight scenes took place in vast, empty nothing of nothingness. Okay. I didn't care about the villain. I didn't care about the heroes. I didn't care about humans. I didn't care about Nick Fury. That movie was...
Why was he in the movie?
That movie was horrible. There were good parts of that movie. There were good parts of every single one of the bad movies.
Sure.
It was a bad movie. That was the first. The second, I disagree with you. I disagree that the concept of the MCU is a problem. I think that in order to solve that equation, what you have to do is you have to try your best to aggravate that core, that group of people, as much as you can. And the thing that you can do that will piss off every anti-woke Marvel fan in the world is by making a character that is representative of something they don't like amazing. That is how you break it down.
Though. Yeah.
You can absolutely, positively make a Marvel's movie starring all females with a female main character bad guy. And that movie doesn't have to suck. That movie could kick so much fucking ass. You already have awesome powers.
Well,
and space.
I got to clarify. I don't have an issue with the MCU. I mean, once again, I'm a man of culture.
I know. I'm just saying.
I'm a man of culture. But I understand. What I was trying to say is that because that's already the narrative, maybe potentially you may not want to try to go too heavy in that direction. But I understand what you're saying. It's like, well, how about just make the characters good though? How about just make like really compelling characters as opposed to doing it and then having them be trash. I kind of get where that's kind of where you're going with it, right?
If there's a group of people who aren't going to like something because it's not
something they like, that's it.
Whatever.
It's that simple. Yeah.
There's people who are going to hate women, minority. It exists. We can't get around it. What you have to make sure is that when those people are making arguments, they don't get to hide behind a shield.
Okay.
They don't get to do the I'm not racist, I got a black friend thing. You know what I mean? Like, they don't get to do that. You really take that away.
For you to bring up in this current moment, but go ahead, proceed.
Oh yeah. They don't. You have to remove that.
Seems like something that you would use in conversation. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. That screams me. No, like that's the kind of thing that allows like ignorant ass opinions to become mainstream opinions.
No, that's fair.
You see it in like religion. You see it in race. You see it everywhere. Yeah. When you and should it be that way? No. Is it that way? No. Yeah. S.H.I.E.L.D. takes the world as it is, not how we want it to be. Stop making bad shit. Make it so that the people who are like, you know, I really didn't like the Marvels. It was a little too heavy-handed in its messaging. And it's like, when someone says that, you want to have seen the Marvels and been like, I mean, what are you talking about? Like, the story was good, the plot was good. We can't say that about the Marvels. So now people can hide their bigotry inside legitimate fucking concerns for how terrible that movie was. And it's the same with the Eternals. There could be an infinite supply of bigotry now hidden over the fact that movie sucked. You could take the entirety of Shang-Chi, which I don't think was a bad movie.
Yeah.
Right? You could take the entirety of Shang-Chi, focus on that last like 20 minutes of that movie, and now people can hide their shittiness inside like, well, that movie kind of fell off at the end with all of that stuff. You cannot allow the fire to burn. If you make quality content, it doesn't have to be great. I'm not everything doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10. But if you make quality content, I don't get to sit here and say She-Hulk was a bad show, and not because there were women in it. I don't have to say that. Because it's obvious I don't have to say that. Because She-Hulk was a bad show. Captain America, Falcon and Winter Soldier was a bad show.
Yeah,
right?
It was.
You know, it wasn't a bad show. Hawkeye, good show.
Good show.
Was it phenomenal? No, you know, it was a bad show.
It was
Echo,
phenomenal.
terrible show. Was it?
Yeah.
Was it a terrible show because Alana Cox, Alana, I don't know, Alakwa
yeah.
Cox? Was it because she was the main character? Yes, but not because she's a woman. Because she was boring.
Yeah,
She is a ninja murder bitch. Let her ninja murder shit. She ninja murdered like 2 people, and then she healed him. Fuck you.
See, that's what pissed me. I'm going to reject the opportunity to do another hate sequence of Echo, and I'm gonna piggyback on something that you said a little bit earlier. Perfect example of what you said. People can no longer hide behind the anti-woke agenda, because guess what? X-Men 97 has been woke AF. However, it's been damn good. It's been damn good. And
Well, they messed one thing up. They messed.
There's a lot.
3 or 4 things.
There's a lot of nitpicking that
Rogue's left titty, Rogue's right titty, and then 3 or 4, depending on how you count them, is her butt or her left and right butt cheeks.
Okay, that's fair. I wasn't gonna go in that direction. There's certain things that I would have preferred. Like I personally didn't need to see Professor X come back. I was quite content with seeing Magneto kind of being the good guy for once. But I understand.
But choosing to go away in a story doesn't affect, like.
Yeah, but the way that they turn on the story is still good. It's not like it's this is absolutely awful. No. It's a good way of them telling the story.
Yeah.
It's just more of like I am nitpicking. Let's be very clear about this right now. I am nitpicking.
Yeah.
That's it. But the whole story has been. I'm at this point now where I'm just like, I am dreading the series ending, because I'm like, when am I ever going to be able to feel this good again about a series? Like this is where X-Men 97 is for me right at this point.
Fallout was good.
I haven't watched that as of yet. I haven't seen it as of yet, because I'll be honest with you, we had a conversation before the stream, so that we'll talk about that's been my thing as to why I haven't seen it as of yet. But I'm gonna start expanding a little bit here outside of the comic realm, because I do think that there's a lot of things that I haven't been able to see. Like 3 Body Problem. My wife watched it and she was like, "Yo, this thing is amazing." And I was like, "I'm hearing conflicted messages." And she's like, "But you should watch it for yourself to then make your own opinion." And I was like, "You are
in terms of controversy, yes. In terms of, like, I agree that if you hear, there's an old expression, right? Yeah. Old expression. I'll modernize it a little bit. You move to a new city, right?
Mm-hmm.
First thing that when you move in, first thing the person says to you, "Oh, hi, welcome. My name is Kate, blah, blah, blah. Don't go in the woods. There are werewolves in the woods."
Mm-hmm.
Weird, right? It's a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Meet another person. "Hi, I'm Steven. Welcome. I run the so-and-so. I hope you enjoy your stay here, but be careful. Don't go in the woods. There are werewolves in the woods."
Yeah.
Okay. The next person you talk to, and for the rest of the day, every person you talk to gives you the exact same spiel and tells you, "Don't go in the woods.
Right.
There are werewolves in the woods." So I have 2 questions for you. The first question is, are werewolves real? Really, are werewolves real?
I mean, I've been drinking, so at this point, I don't know, but I'm gonna say no, they're not real.
You going in the woods?
No, I'm not, because everybody's been telling me not to go into the damn woods because
Why you're telling me to not go in the woods? It could be absolutely bullshit. You could be absolutely, like, I don't believe in werewolves. I don't believe in vampires or zombies. Nah, that shit ain't real. There's there's no way they're in the woods. But if every single person is like, don't go in the woods, there is danger there, and they make it a point, one of two things is going to happen. The woods is a non-stop fuck orgy that you're not invited to yet, at which point you don't crash an orgy. And number two, there's something in those woods killing people, and I don't want to be a part of it.
Oh, you made me think about was the Animal Kingdom? You've watched that movie before, right?
Yeah.
Just made me think about that.
That's so like I said, if you hear that a movie is good or bad, a show is good or bad, whatever, right?
Yeah.
You hear that. If you hear mixed opinions, reasonable minds differ. It could be that someone didn't like it, someone did. You could like it. It could be bad and you could still like it. It could be great and you could not like it. That's all fine. But if every single person you talk to about something tells you it's dog shit, you don't have to find out for your fucking self. Now you're an idiot. That makes you dumb. Yeah. Not you, but like that makes you like, you can't trust every single person. And then more realistically, what's going to happen is you're a contrarian by nature. If you are going to be like, actually, I thought it was great. You just want to feel special by having an opinion that nobody else has.
Yes.
Great. Enjoy them. Enjoy the Marvels.
With 3
Great.
Body
Watch it every
Problem,
day. Have fun.
I've heard with 3 Body Problem, I've just heard so many mixed messages, which is the reason why I'm just like, I'm just going to watch it myself. Yeah. And I'm going to make an opinion on it. I watched the first 2 episodes. And the first 2 episodes, I kind of watched it. I mean, literally, my wife was watching it and I was making a thumbnail. Let's be honest. Like I wasn't really watching it. You know what I mean? So I'm going to watch it and I'm going to take a look at it. Although I'll be honest with you, Bridgerton is coming back next week.
So
I may not have time for that. You're
gonna have another kid if you watch Bridgerton again.
I am sucked in, bro. I don't know how to. I am sucked in. I am at the point now where this week I have been watching the first season and I'm about to watch the second season again of Bridgerton in preparation for the third season starting.
I just watched Gen V.
You just watched it? Oh my God.
Dude, do you want to talk about Gen V? Should we do it? Okay. No, it's phenomenal. Good because I saw the trailer for Boy Season 4 and I was like, who the fuck are these people? Who are these people? Like, I don't know any of these people. And then they're like, they're from Gen, and I watched like a video and someone's like, they're from Gen V. I'm like, all right, fine. So I watched the first episode of Gen V. It was like, oh shit. Then I watched the second episode of Gen V. It was like, oh, this gets better. This is getting so much better. And then I kept, next thing I knew, I watched all of them.
All right, episode 5 or 6, you're just like, oh, I need to see how this ends. I need to see how. By the way, R.I.P. to Chance.
For Chance.
Yeah, R.I.P. to him. That's unfortunate, man. Ugh,
27, bro.
27 years old. Oh my goodness. Sad.
My second favorite character on that show. My first was Emma. So here we go.
To be honest, a lot of people. I mean, I like Shetty. I mean, I'm kind of a fan in general.
Shetty was great.
Shetty is
good. Okay, so here we go. Gen V was good in spite of its dumbass messaging. Because there was some dumbass messaging in that fucking show. In order for me to activate my powers, I have to throw up. Yeah. In order to activate my powers, I have to throw up. Like, that's a crazy thing, but it makes sense because you're metabolizing based on if you eat a lot, you'll get big. That makes sense. It's real Alice in Wonderland. They even make it. Wow, that's actually a thing for bulimia. Like, no, it's not a thing for bulimia. It's bulimia that activates her powers. It's already stupid. It's not a commentary. You're not smart. It's dumb. Oh, she cuts herself. No, her power is blood.
Yeah.
If she carried around a vial of blood, it would be way weirder. And also, she can't hurt herself. She could just pull it back in.
I'm glad that they brought in other chick to. I forgot her name, but I'm glad that they brought her
Victoria
into
Newman.
Newman, yeah. Like, you don't need that to be able to actually use your powers. Like, what the hell?
Your power is blood bending, bitch. You're from Avatar. Let's go. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. I like the correlation there.
I do like the fact that there is a physical toll that Gen V that takes on Gen V use on every V. There's a physical toll, and we saw a little bit with A Train, but we saw Polaris, the kid's dad,
the dad,
whose brain was like shutting down. There's a physical toll that comes from that.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me.
Which is kind of cool. Yeah, it is. I mean, in a lot of ways, they found a way to kind of like ground the characters, which has been fun to watch. But the boys, Gen V, they've always done a really good job of. I don't necessarily know if they're really good at storytelling. I think what they are really good at, though, is story relating. They relate very well to an audience in a particular way that it either it gets you pissed off or it makes you say, okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, like even with Marie, right? Yeah, like sure. But the whole idea of her killing her own family and like I'm like, ooh, that makes sense. You don't understand your damn powers. It would make sense that would be a tragedy that you would experience knowing that you can control blood, but you don't really know that you can control blood at that freaking age. I appreciate that type of story personally. I've always appreciated things like Maeve and The Boys, where she struggles with a little bit of her sexuality, but then also as well the fact that she's a raging alcoholic. Little things like that where
she doesn't struggle with her sexuality. That's why I love it so much.
But
Maeve loves women. She doesn't struggle with it. She is required. But she's required, and that is a biting commentary.
Yeah. Okay.
More like even in this one with Jordan, who may be my favorite character. Actually, now that I think about it, I love Jordan.
He's
when Ashley's talking about Jordan, and she just kind of looks and goes, "Great, a bi-gender Asian with they pronouns that'll fly wonderful in Dallas and Lauderdale," and I'm like, how fucking true. Like, Jordan is so fucking cool. Functionally immortal in dude form, psionic blasts in chick form.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a preference. Like, could go either way. Is totally comfortable being whichever, whenever. They added the, like, my dad doesn't accept me. This, see, guys, there's a difference. There's a difference between addressing and pandering. Gen V had a shit ton of pandering in it.
Yeah.
But it was okay because it didn't matter. Because all the pandering, you could just forget it. You can be like, whatever. Oh no, Jordan's dad doesn't like them because he was born fuck his dad. Who gives it? Why? We don't need to see that. We don't need to see that interaction. Fuck him.
But
you have superpowers.
I feel like the difference though is that with Gen V, The Boys, they're telling you directly that they're pandering, and
that's why I'm like, but they're pandering as this like, they're like South Park. You know what I mean? Like, if you ever watch South Park, there's two things. If what you think comes out of Cartman or Randy's mouth, those are the two people. If Cartman says something that you think, or if Randy says something that you think, you need to know that they're not smart. You're the asshole. like PC Principal, I love that character so much because he was supposed to only show up for one episode, like one or two, and then get killed, and everyone was like, no, best character on the show, best character on the show, like just because
timely moment,
because he's so dumb, because every character in South Park is dumb in their own unique way, and like when they did the Panderverse, where Kathleen Kennedy was like, Eric, you don't understand. I used the Panderstone to make quality movies that everyone will enjoy. But then I started getting hate mail up to like 10,000 a day. And then Eric just cut. And he was like, more like 12,000 towards the last time. And she was like, no, it was crazy. You can only be called the C word so many times in a letter every time. And he's like, yeah, I probably could have toned it down. She's like, you sent all of those letters? And Eric sent 12,000 letters calling Kathleen Kennedy the C word. And I was like, see, get it? Kathleen Kennedy is wrong, but it's also wrong to call her a C word over it. Like, there's two wrongs. Don't make her right. It doesn't balance out. Just be like, Kathleen Kennedy sucks, and then stop paying to see their content. Eventually.
No, go ahead. Is that show still on TV? By the way, like, is it still a thing?
I believe Paramount or Peacock, whatever one of those things that's gonna die in a year. Whichever there's three, right? There's Disney Plus, there's Hulu, and there's there's four. There's Netflix, obviously, and then there's HBO Max. HBO Max is awesome. So those are the four. And then there's a bunch of other ones. And all of the other ones, unless they're like super niche, like Dropout or Nebula, the science one, or the stand-up comedy one, those are the ones that'll probably stay around. All of the other ones, they're dead. Those are gonna, what all they're trying to do is build up some degree of catalog. I think Sony tried, just straight up made an offer to buy Paramount Plus.
Did they?
Yeah, I believe hold on.
Do you know what the number is?
No. Well, I mean, someone's
I'm just curious.
Sony and Apollo plan to break up Paramount if bid is successful. Sony plans for Paramount include sale of famous studio. CBS News could and should be sold to Apollo and Sony. $26 billion to acquire Paramount.
Wow.
First of all,
I'm in the wrong business.
All cash offer?
Hey, crap balls. Okay. I'm in the wrong business, my guy. I'm in the wrong business, man. I'm telling you.
How is Paramount considering not selling?
That's true. Because you're right. Because Paramount could easily probably turn around and just make another platform.
They don't have to. Everyone cashes out.
26 billion.
A 26 billion all cash offer. What does Paramount have right now?
How much are they worth right now currently? Like, what's their capital? It's Wikipedia. It's always questionable.
I'm just looking to see Paramount Global, formerly Viacom. So Paramount is, what's their trade? They're trading under Para.
Did that say Hulu just now?
Well, they own, remember, Hulu is not completely owned by Disney. Paramount has Star Trek.
Okay. That's cracking in.
That's 20 billion. What's the other 6? Oh God, absolutely. Their market cap is 9 billion. Take that offer. They can, actually, I don't think they're allowed to turn it down. Fiduciary duty, man. If someone makes an all cash offer to buy your company out, I don't think you're allowed to turn it down. That's what happened with Twitter.
Really?
Yeah. Twitter was not allowed to turn down Elon Musk's offer because he offered like $14 billion over its current valuation. And legally, when you're a publicly traded company, you have something called a fiduciary duty to your shareholders. And in order to not turn that down, the shareholders would have to vote against it. And there was no way everyone wasn't going to be like, you mean my current shares that are only worth $100, you're going to give me $300 a share?
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm taking that in a heartbeat. All right. Hold on.
Oh, good. Sony's going to buy a whole bunch of other shows no one wants to watch. What are you doing? You going out?
I got to take a step out. Yep.
All right, I got this. Cool. I don't remember where we were, but I do remember what we were talking about a while ago, which is WandaVision was fine. Someone said Falcon and Winter Soldier was decent and good until the last episode. I respectfully disagree with that sentence. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was Anthony Mackie doing a lot of heavy lifting on a terrible story that not only didn't make sense, it didn't affect anything. So yeah, the last episode was bad. Like, there's no question the last episode was bad. But the entirety of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think we talked about this last week, I'm not sure, was the Falcon giving up the shield and then introducing a character and then Falcon getting the shield back, becoming Captain America, even though Bucky spent the entire time no longer being the Winter Soldier, and he's still the Winter Soldier. So I don't think it was the worst show that came out. It's probably on the better side, but it wasn't good. Loki season 1 was good. It was an enjoyable show. Black Widow was a dog shit movie. What If was fine. I have no criticisms of What If because What If is already a silly goose thing. Shang-Chi, I think, was better than average, but it wasn't phenomenal. Eternals could have been great, but it just wasn't. Hawkeye was a good show. No Way Home was a good movie. Moon Knight was a phenomenal show. A little bit too long, like it could have been 4 or 5 episodes. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness kind of let me down. I don't think it was bad. There were scenes in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that I thought were phenomenal. But the premise was weak. If you had never seen WandaVision, you would have no idea what's going on. If you did see WandaVision, you would still have no idea what's going on because the purpose of WandaVision was to kind of be therapy for Wanda, like the stages of grief. And at the end, we just believed the Darkhold corrupted her off screen. We could have ended WandaVision with her being corrupted completely. Not an end post-credit scene of her using it, but like the entirety of WandaVision could have been, instead of choosing the path, being corrupted. You know? Like I don't know what the point was. Ms. Marvel was a show that was fine because it wasn't for me. But even though it wasn't for me, it was still an enjoyable show. Like, it was made for like a younger generation. It was supposed to be more childlike, and it was, but the show was still fine. A little bit long in some places, but there was some cool set pieces. There was a good story. I believe the characters. Thor: Love and Thunder. Yo, Goof, was Thor: Love and Thunder? You back? Goof, was Thor: Love and Thunder the worst movie of since Endgame? Here are your options: Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, No Way Home.
Yeah, Eternals. No, Eternals.
Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder.
Okay. You can stop. Eternals.
You think the Marvels, well, that goes without saying. Like, I'm not even sure the Marvels was a movie. I think it was just a really long tampon commercial.
Honestly, guys, I'm in a different place. I actually think the Marvels was enjoyable. I just don't think that it was.
But I think
it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
But I think Black Panther: Wakanda Forever was enjoyable. I don't think it was good.
I don't think Wakanda.
I think we could all agree Black Panther: Wakanda Forever wasn't good.
It wasn't,
but it was enjoyable, and we have to kid gloves it. We don't have to kid gloves it. We choose to. We should kid gloves it.
In my opinion, and well, that's the thing about it is there are people who will say, "Well, damn, well, you could have just simply recasted T'Challa." I don't know if recasting T'Challa was good in that moment. Like, I don't think that was a good decision to make in that moment. You can say it in hindsight, but you can't really say it. Oh yeah, you should have recast. No, like in that moment at that time. What happened?
The three main characters of the Marvels were fine. I don't think Captain Marvel was bad. I think there was a little stiffness between her and Teyonah Parrish that shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
But I think it worked for the story, kind of. Mm-hmm. So I'm allowing it. Teyonah was great. Iman is great. Iman Vellani's phenomenal. I think the three leading ladies were fine. I don't have any problems with anything they did. The problem is the movie sucked, the story sucked, the villain sucked, the support sucked, everything sucked. Nick Fury didn't take the phone away from people that he put on a spaceship. That's the Nick Fury we know and love. The guy who doesn't cross T's and dot I's. That's the guy. Yeah.
That's him right there. That's why we love him. That's why we really appreciate him showing up and doing everything kind of outside of character.
Asterisk that previous point. If you make a movie, you cannot afford to alienate the fans in an attempt to capture a new audience. You have an audience. The audience is very vocal about what they like and what they don't. And that sometimes that vocalness sounds terrible. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it's herder, She-Hulk, women, like, you know, like sometimes it's herder, and sometimes, like I said before, somebody just watched She-Hulk who was like, I have no idea what's going on. This is I don't give a shit that they had a scene with She-Hulk twerking. That was hilarious.
I know about She-Hulk, and I was like, what the hell are they doing?
Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
My wife was asking me questions, and she was like, what is this about? And I was like, I don't know, babe. That's what I had to tell her. I was like, boo, I don't know.
So of these movies, what, like 2.5 were good? Guardians 3 was good. It was a good movie. It didn't do much. It didn't do much. But I think the reasons Guardians 3,
I actually enjoy the fact that it didn't do much, to be honest. Is that bad? I just enjoyed the fact that it was just a good movie.
I think it sucks because everything around it sucked, and it was like, like, I think if Guardians 3 came out earlier, like closer to, like after Black Widow, it probably would have been like awesome.
Okay.
And I don't think we needed any time between them. Needed from story perspective, not from anything. I just think like having dealt with like Shang-Chi was fine. But again, like, what are we asking for? Because we go back, like the first Iron Man movie was good. The Incredible Hulk movie was fine. There was no problems with it. It made sense. Iron Man 2 was fine. The first Thor was a little bland, but it wasn't a bad movie. It was just bland. The first Captain America was, you know, for what it was. It was.
To be honest, the first half of that movie was actually pretty good. It was just the second half where, you know, he's going to the Hydra base and going to lost me.
Avengers was great.
Oh, Avengers
Iron Man 3 was
so
bad.
It was
Iron Man 3 was real bad. Mm-hmm. Thor: The Dark World was real bad. So like they had a rough tumble here. Winter Soldier came by. We forgot those two movies. We're like, what happened? What happened?
It's true though.
Guardians of the Galaxy phenomenal. Age of Ultron.
I mean, it wasn't terrible.
Good parts.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back, it was not. You know what I mean? Like, as the sequel, it was not. First Ant-Man movie, phenomenal, fucking great. That movie was so good.
That was fun. That was a fun movie. Oh man, that was a fun movie.
Captain America: Civil War.
I enjoyed She-Hulk until the last episode, is what Jay said. To be fair, there were a couple. How long was that? Was it 9 episodes?
It felt like watching it. I gained a year. I don't know.
It was. I think it was 9 episodes.
What I wanted was a legal comedy with superheroes. That's what I wanted. A legal comedy with superheroes.
But that's what they sold. That's what they sold, and it didn't really deliver it.
And what it was sad.
Yeah,
just sad.
It
I
was
didn't.
sad.
I didn't find any joy in She-Hulk. I found even shows I didn't like I found joy in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was long, but I was like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing here. Loki, I enjoyed. It was very joyful. WandaVision, oh man, I thought
it was good. Yeah, it was good.
I felt it as it was coming. I just sad it didn't go anywhere. What If, loved it. But like Phase 3, right? Civil War, Doctor Strange, phenomenal movie. Doctor Strange was great. Guardians 2, I don't think it was as good as Guardians 1, but I don't think it was bad.
Yeah.
I don't think
it wasn't bad. I was just really annoyed with the Ego Celestial thing. That was just really bothersome.
That didn't bother me as much as don't do Eternals made the same mistake as Guardians 2 did.
Okay.
They really did. Don't do cataclysmic shit unless you're going to pay off that cataclysm. Don't have...
Well, they didn't in Guardians 2.
That's what I'm saying. Like, don't get me wrong, Ego's dead, but there was still giant blobs of Ego that were taking over multiple planets, and they just disappeared when he died. Then why even do it? Then why even show it? It could have just been an aura then. Why are we... You're an idiot. Poor writing. Spider-Man Homecoming was great. Thanks almost entirely to Michael Keaton.
Yep.
Thor Ragnarok was kind of refreshing. It was refreshing because the previous 2 Thor movies were so bad.
Yeah,
that Thor did need a little bit. Black Panther, aces. Infinity War, phenomenal. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
So this is one of those ones where it kept a little bit of the... So the thing about Ant-Man is that what I've always appreciated about Ant-Man is that it's a really nice one-off story.
Yeah.
Which is basically what Ant-Man is in comics. Like, it's a nice
They fucked up Quantumania by putting Kang in it.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Yeah.
So this was a good movie in my opinion, but I guess... No, actually, you know what? I'm gonna backtrack that. I think it was actually a really good, fun movie. Yeah. I was just really annoyed with the whole idea of, oh my gosh, I have to save my mom. What about the entire rest of like people in the city? I have to sing my mom.
Well, they didn't know there were other people there. Mom didn't tell them.
Scott, all you care about is just you not getting caught. I care about my mom who's been stuck in a quantum realm for so many... I was just really annoyed with that crap. That crap annoyed the crap out of me for a little while. But it wasn't a bad movie.
I don't think Captain Marvel was a bad movie either. I think it was a stiff movie.
It was hard.
It was a stiff movie. Like,
stomach that movie. It was for me. I was like, this is how we're introducing Captain Marvel. Why are we doing it this way?
Yeah. I feel like they just told it different. I feel like when they were doing Captain Marvel, they're like, let's not tell this story in a way that like fans of Captain Marvel will like.
That was it. Yeah.
I think they're like, let's tell it in a way. I think Captain Marvel was kind of their, we're going to go for a different audience with this one. And they still had enough kind of like hype and goodwill, because I think it made $1 billion, that people were like, let's go. Keep in mind,
Yeah, but
Nick Fury called for Captain Marvel.
Mhm.
At the end. We're like, oh, sick.
Infinity War.
We were excited for that.
So
I don't think it was
saw
great.
Her in Infinity War, and they saw that she had called for Captain called for Captain Marvel, and then they said, "Oh, we now have to see this Captain Marvel movie."
Yeah,
because
payoff. I mean, the problem is it didn't do anything for the payoff, and it didn't do anything for Avengers Endgame.
No,
because Endgame, it's almost like they were like, "Don't bother."
Mm-hmm. She had a good 1v1 sesh against Thanos, I guess.
I very much enjoyed when he punched the shit out of her.
There are fans of Captain. Yes.
Do you know why I enjoyed when he punched the shit out of her?
Why was that?
Because she should have won. Because she blew up she was in space.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't helping. She was on other planets who needed help that they didn't have their own Avengers. Cool. Just hang out on Earth. We got shit going on. We're doing stuff. We're doing important shit here. We're going back in time. None of them reached out to Captain Marvel when they were doing time travel shit. Nobody was like, you know who would be really fucking helpful when we're gonna try to get the
Soul Stone?
the Battle of New York? You know who's gonna be really helpful for that? What about this living star? What if we got her to show up in the Battle of New York? Fight's over. First of all, they're winning the Battle of New York immediately. Fight's over, right? She's just like, hey everybody, bah! Where'd they go? I farted and they all exploded. Good time. No, fuck that double time. She's flying through the portal, blowing up the fucking ship, because she knows, because Rocket knew that the Chitauri died, so she definitely knew that. She's like, the Chitauri? Why are you guys worried? Brr. Problem solved. Let's take the rest of the shit. We got this.
Well.
But they can't change the timeline, which they, of course, found out when? During the time travel. They didn't know that before. They didn't know shit. They had no plans of returning shit. They're like, we're going to steal this shit.
Win.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No one texted her. Nobody was like, yo, Danvers, get over here. Cool shit happening. Nobody.
Specifically those words.
No, they did. They just took her that long. It just took her that long to get back. You could have waited. You fucking cunts could have waited. You have a time machine. Every day didn't matter anymore. You'd have been fine. Bringing it down a little bit. She came back.
She gave him a good 10 to 15 second fight.
I don't have any idea why they were like, we got to get this gauntlet through that portal right fucking now. Hey, Captain Marvel, space! Space now! Go space now! Just fuck right off to space. We'll kick the shit out of these guys. We'll be good. Captain Marvel, throw it in the sun. They'll survive. Fuck that. Captain Marvel, put the gauntlet on.
Right.
Put it on. See? You're telling me Captain Marvel can't be like...
She's eating that crap.
Yeah. If you tell me right now the MCU version of Captain Marvel can't wield the fucking gauntlet with no repercussions.
None.
I'm calling you a liar. I'm not entirely convinced Doctor Strange couldn't wield it. Like, his hands were already fucked up. What was gonna happen?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, didn't you What was the giveaway? The fact that he took forever to just bring up his index finger when he was telling Tony Stark. Was it that? So what was funny is that my wife was asking me the question. She was just like, "Why is he taking so long to bring up his finger?" I'm like, "Oh, because he effed it up in the first movie. You missed that part. You forgot. This is a reminder.
His hand don't work. His hand ain't working.
This is a quick reminder. He technically doesn't have hands, but they're just there."
Far From Home, great. Far From Home was good too.
Far From Home was pretty good. Honestly, I gave Far From Home a lot of crap in the beginning, but I've watched it multiple times now, and I'm like, this is a pretty good movie.
Gyllenhaal nailed it, man.
Movie. He did.
I enjoyed the reveal that they were all pulling a con. Yeah. I didn't inherently like the fact that the Edith goggles could be transferred over. Yeah. Like there was no, like transfer to Quentin Beck. Quentin Beck, hold on, searching databases. The psychopath that was fired from Stark Tech? Absolutely not. Also, he had Edith. He could have been like, pull up all the information on Quentin Beck.
Nah. Yeah, no. Why would we do that? He's a 17-year-old kid.
I appreciate how dumb they made him. I don't appreciate the lengths they made us believe that this kid is that dumb. I'm like, yo, how does he chew gum and walk? How does he tie his shoes in the morning? This guy shits his pants every day because he forgets to pull them down when he sits in the toilet. Like
all of us were just look at seriously, really, dude. This is what you're doing? Okay, all right.
Guardians, like I said, Guardians 3 was a good movie. I enjoyed it fully. I think that the worst thing about that movie was them kind of forcing Gamora and Star-Lord back in. I think that's another like best of what we got kind of thing. But like also I don't give a shit that Gamora died, and I gave a shit that Gamora died when she died. I don't care that Gamora was gone. I cared even less when she came back.
Yeah. That was a narrative that didn't really need to be revisited. Also, like that story was over, but whatever, I get it.
There was a point where there was 2 Nebulas. Which means there were 2 Karen Gillans. And nobody took advantage of that.
That's fair.
Do you think Nebula has a working vagina?
It was a PG movie, so I feel like maybe PG-13. It felt like maybe they wanted to tread cautiously where that is concerned. That's just me.
What? So wait, hold on. Do you think Nebula has a working vagina?
Do you believe that's probably something that's been mechanically replaced? Because I'm going to say yes.
We know Gamora does.
That could contribute to her constant frustration and anger.
What if she doesn't? What if that's why she? Because like
she's always so angry.
Let me. Tony and her are trapped on a spaceship for like a couple months, right?
Mm-hmm. Let's see where you're going. Okay.
And Tony loves Pepper. And she's pregnant with his kid.
Uh-huh.
But they ain't gonna make it. You telling me Tony forgot how to fuck? I'm telling you he couldn't. I don't think she has a working vagina.
You don't think?
And I don't mean to say like she has a vagina, but it's been. I don't think she has anything. I think she's like Barbie doll. I think Thanos was like, you don't need this shit. Remember, he kept replacing her.
He did.
How does she poop? We've seen her eat. She has to poop. I have so many questions about Nebula.
I'm laughing to the chat.
I'm reading it. I'm not saying it out loud, but I'm reading it.
No, I'm not, I cannot specifically say this out loud, so therefore I'm not saying anything.
Gamora almost killed today in the comics with her intense lovemaking. Gamora is a slut.
I don't know about this portion, this side of her.
And I mean that in the most loving way possible. Gamora loves smooshing booties. And a nickel to anyone who gets that reference. There's a scene when she sleeps with Tony. Because Tony shows up on the Guardians ship. And she's like, they're all drinking. Space gin, whatever. And Gamora's like, does that cocky Playboy routine work? And he just looks at her and goes, usually. And then she kind of like, her face reddens out, and then it hard cuts to them in bed, and Gamora's like putting clothes on, and Tony's like, like,
good for Tony. Good for Tony. Good for him.
Oh, that's what Jay was talking about. I'm gonna see if I can find that scene actually while we're doing this. Hey, while we're here, let's talk about the Fantastic Forecasting while I look for Gamora and Tony lovemaking.
Yeah, so Fantastic Four. I don't really know much about this individual person personally. I'm just
we got confirmation.
He has a really deep voice and sounds like he could play Galactus really well.
Well, we have confirmation that Galactus is in this movie, which means we already know how this movie ends.
Right.
It takes place in another timeline. Galactus is eating that planet. Reed fails.
Yep. So it's not incursions, but it's just a destruction of that planet, and that works. Is this today?
This is the scene, yeah. So here's Tony and Gamora flirting. You're gonna have to do better out here. I can do better. And here's a picture of Tony's face.
Not doing better. Okay.
Here's Gamora. After. So I'm going back to the bar. Yeah, okay. Ow.
Sounds like he might be a little sore. I've been there.
This might have been the exact moment in time where I was like, I need to find me a Gamora, man. Like, I need to find me someone who's gonna break me. All right, so we know a couple of casts. They've cast the guy from the big dude from Cobra Kai, who plays the older kid, the older guy. He's like 20 or something. For his name, Raptor, Razor, whatever dumb nickname they gave him. I don't know. They cast him to play an undisclosed role, and they cast John Malkovich as an undisclosed role.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Because Twitter is a cesspool of suck, right? Every now and then I end up on Twitter. I don't go there. Things take me there. And I'm seeing that people are speculating that John Malkovich is cast as Doom. These people are not your friends. Don't trust these people. They're going to lead you into a forest full of werewolves. No, absolutely not.
My guess with him.
No, absolutely not. There's no way. Why? Who cares? Like, what a shitty cast of Doom.
No offense to him, but yeah.
John Malkovich is a phenomenal actor. That'd be like, rest in peace. That'd be like they cast Pee Wee Herman as Doom. I'd be like, all right, calm the fuck down. Like, no. Although I would like to see, he's dead, but I would like to see kill him a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up. Like, what could he potentially be casted as? John Malkovich. Huh. Interesting casting. All right, hold on. I'll be back.
I'm interested because we're finding more and more about Fantastic Four, which isn't coming out till next year. But knowing that Galactus is going to be in this movie doesn't inherently mean Pedro, misspelling. So we know there's so many people. There's so many people that are in this movie for a movie we know very little to almost nothing about. We know it takes place in an alternate timeline. They've confirmed that. We know it takes place in the 60s of that timeline. We know that the Fantastic Four are known, like they're not like secret. They're a known group. I believe they mentioned the Future Foundation somewhere. I believe someone mentioned that he had already created the Future Foundation in this universe, but I'm not, that could be nothing. Could have just been some guy on the internet saying it. Knowing that Galactus is cast, this can't be a one and done, right? Like, this has to be a longer term casting. Especially because he's a good actor. You've seen him, they say all this. You probably don't recognize him. But he's been in Harry Potter movies. He's been in Game of Thrones. He was in a movie called The Witch. Another movie called Nosferatu. A movie called The Creator. So he's been in other stuff. But, like, there's no way they just cast him and we're like, you're going to be Galactus in this one movie and we're never going to bring Galactus up again. Like,
oh, I assume this is a long-term casting. Most likely.
Yeah, this feels...
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with the rest of them. Like, Julia Garner feels like a short-term casting.
Yeah,
I don't think we're ever
like
going to see Julia
movie.
Garner again. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially because Lakeith Stanfield... Remember, Lakeith Stanfield tweeted, "Weird, I thought I was Silver Surfer," and then deleted the tweet. I'm like,
yeah,
Lakeith, you're fucking Silver Surfer, bro. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just not wasting you on a dead surfer.
Mm-hmm. So he's gonna be the Silver Surfer for the 616, but Shalabal is gonna be the one that's for this universe that this guy's gonna destroy.
Where whoever John Malkovich and Paul Walter Hauser are playing, those should be one-offs, right? Like,
oh, okay, yeah.
Like, those are not people I expect to see again. Vanessa Kirby, Joe Quinn, and Eben Moss, Baccarat, they can be, they're not expensive. All of these actors, the three that I mentioned.
Vanessa Kirby might be a little bit. She's been in a couple of things now. She's been in, like, Mission Impossible.
Oh, everyone's been in stuff. Every one of these have been in stuff, but they're like, if they signed him on for a 3-year deal, it was good. The thing is, I'm actually convinced that the reason they cast Pedro Pascal was simplicity. I don't think they think he's the best possible person to play Reed.
Yeah.
I think Pedro is just... I think they just have such a good working relationship with Pedro that it was so easy for them to sign a 5-movie contract at a reasonable rate. Because what does it matter?
Mando? He was in Mando.
He's Mando? Right?
Yeah.
He's in Mando, right? As the Mandalorian. He's in something else Disney put out. I forgot what it was. I think he was a voice actor for something in Disney. I think he just has such a good deal with Disney that he's just like, I'm gonna keep working with you because they don't care. Like, the more we have you, the less other people have you. And he's a phenomenal actor. So I really think that this was kind of just a deal. And again, it's not impossible that this is a version of Reed. I mean, we know, I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much. I'll wait a little bit more, but the reason all of this is interesting is because of this note. Disney to cap number of Marvel movies it releases each year as it doubles down on quote-unquote quality. Now, this comment of just one Marvel movie is scheduled for release this year, this isn't a shock. We knew this last year.
Yeah.
But but they release no more than 3 Marvel films and up to 2 Disney Plus shows each year as it works to place more focus on quality output. So, Goofy.
Yep.
Oh, what do you think of that as I make more dipping sauce?
I mean, personally, weren't you kind of already doing that anyways? So you kind of just go back to doing what? I mean, especially with like the Endgame and or leading up to some of these Avengers movies. You mean you had essentially 3 movies that were coming out every single year. You just didn't have the TV shows. So now they're doing the TV shows and they're limiting it to 2 a year, 3 movies. And it's fine. My only thing is that I almost wonder if they don't understand that the issue was not the quantity, but through the quality of their production. Unless what they're saying is, in
They
order
can't
for
control
us
it.
yeah, right. In order for us to be able to produce better quality, we actually need to reduce our quantity, and this is how we do it.
Well,
Which at that point I would say, I guess I just prefer that, but I feel like there also the alternative is to hire more people that can handle the multiple projects. But because it probably took so much of a hit this year with the Marvels flopping, with Secret Invasion not doing that well, with other pieces of projects, they've lost income. So now they're just like, you know what, maybe we just shouldn't really take this risk.
all right. Disney Plus started in phase 4.
Mm-hmm.
WandaVision.
The first Disney Plus thing was Black Widow, I believe.
Well, I don't know if WandaVision came out before Black Widow. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 phase 4 products were Disney Plus. Of those 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of them were fine.
Okay.
WandaVision was fine. Falcon and Winter Soldier was fine. It just trailed off a little bit.
Yeah.
What If was fine. No problems with What If. Hawkeye was great. I thought Hawkeye was phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good series.
Yeah. And of course it gave us, Kingpin, and it was a little goofy, but I think that worked for it. Moon Knight.
Yeah, right.
Chef's Kiss. Ms. Marvel, again, not for me, but I still enjoyed it, so I know I'm not the target audience, so I don't want to say anything like that. I Am Groot. It was nothing.
Target audience, yeah.
Yeah, it was nothing, so whatever. Werewolf by Night I thought was great. It was very fun. But it was fun. Even if it wasn't phenomenal, it was very fun. And then Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. I still sing that song. I don't know what Christmas is, but Christmas time is here. I still sing that song. It's awesome. Kevin Bacon was in it. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
And then I really,
you're right.
So the only one that I don't think was good was She-Hulk. And even then, I'm willing to hear someone say it was fine. I'm not going to fight you on it. I don't think their Disney Plus shows fucked them.
No, it's the movies.
I think that they could have. I think they could have tightened up their Disney Plus shows, but we talked about it a couple weeks ago, dude. How much money did they cost? If you're spending $250 million in a TV show, you have failed to understand Entire seasons of Supernatural were filmed for less than $250 million. And that show, like,
no, that's a big deal.
people say, like, well, Disney doesn't pay animators. Like, no, that's not Disney's fault. Don't blame Disney. Disney says, this is what we're looking for. How much will you charge us? You lowball them. They accept your lowball offer. You come back with a different offer. They go, we're not paying it. Stick to the contract. And that's it. My family worked construction for their life. Like, that's where my family comes from.
Yeah.
The way construction contracts work is you bid. You say, I could do this contract in this time for this much money. Yes, the time is always one of those two things goes up. Either the time or the money. Always, every time. Doesn't matter. They're things outside of your control. But it's reasonable. That's part of the contract. That's how people win bids. That's how you get a contract to do stuff in the construction industry. Yeah. That's just how it works. Same works in other industries. CG graphic studios, Disney's not going around and like going to like ILM being like, you're gonna do this for $5, you fucking cucks. They're not doing that. You know, they're like,
yeah,
this is what we're paying. People are like, we don't want it.
And if you don't, well, I mean, walk.
But again, how did She-Hulk cost $250 million?
Negligence.
How? I want to see that sheet. Because it wasn't the actors.
No, it wasn't, because I mean Tatiana Maslany. I mean, who do we have in there? No, you said She-Hulk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the only one that's like notable. I mean, the guy who plays Benedict Wong.
Maslany earned $50K per episode.
That's surprising that she only made that much.
Roronoa Zoro's actor was paid more than Tatiana Maslany on She-Hulk. And this is a conversation people are at Mackinac. He was made almost 4 times more. She-Hulk's Starcast and their per episode. Let's see. So this one says that she made $200K. Jamila Jamil, who was in 3 episodes, I believe, well, technically, made $60K. Ginger Gonzalez made $50K. Renee Goldsberry made $30K. Tim Roth made $20K for the 1 day of filming he did. Mark Ruffalo made $200K. Benedict Wong made $60K. Josh Segarra made $15K per episode. And, just multiply those out. They weren't all in every episode. So Mark Ruffalo showing up in 2 episodes for $200K was probably going rate for your star, right?
Yeah.
Wong was in multiple episodes, at least 3. So it's $60K each. Josh was in most of the episodes, so they probably paid him least. So was Ginger Gonzaga. That sounds like a porn name. Sorry. Ginger Gonzaga sounds like a porn name. She was in a couple towards the end, I think 3. Tatiana Maslany made $200,000 per episode, apparently. So, but that's reason. Even if it wasn't, all that's reasonable.
She made $200,000 per episode or $50K per episode?
Well, that's what I don't know, because it says this is their per episode salary at the top. And even if it wasn't, it's definitely can't be $50K.
I mean, she's the main actor. She's the main actress for the series. So $200K per episode is not. And
that's not how they paid them. They didn't pay them per episode because it's Disney Plus. It's what was it? I think She-Hulk was 30 minutes. I don't think it was an hour. Was it?
Some episodes were long. And how they
let's say it was an average of 45 minutes. Times 10 divided by 60. Or that's not, sorry. 7.5 hours of content, we'll say.
Okay.
So, you know, if each of those hours was 5 days of filming, each of those hours of content was 5 days of filming, that's a little bit over a month.
Mm-hmm.
So if they averaged her salary out to like 200,000 per episode, even if it was 50,000, like, you work for a month, you made, best case scenario, right, over $1 million. Worst case scenario, was at 50,000. You know, it's $500,000, just under $500,000 for the 9-10 episodes, whatever. Fine, that's still great salary. So all of this combined, assuming the best case scenario that this is per episode and everyone's getting paid shit tons, this is like less than $4 million for the cast, the speaking roles. We didn't see how much the cameo of like Matt Murdock cost, but like even then, that's like one episode, right? Maybe two.
Yeah.
If they spent $10 million on cast and they spent another $10 million on crew, where'd the other $230 million go? Because it wasn't CGI. Because
there wasn't really a lot of, I mean, in general, there weren't even really a lot of locations for them to go to in the show, anyways. Unless that little bar or cell that they created.
How are you spending movie level prices on a TV show?
Yeah,
you don't have to. You don't have to do that.
Sense.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
If it's all the CGI set pieces, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of money. I don't know what WandaVision cost, but I'm convinced it was less than, like, I don't.
It gotta be less than 100 mil.
The whole reason I'm even talking about that is this topic, right, is them capping to double down on quality. I don't believe they have a quality problem. No. I believe they have a financial management fucking problem. I believe that if She-Hulk cost $100 million, they would have been like, it was a pretty good show.
Yeah.
Like, if they had budgeted $100 million for that show, we would have gotten a better show, because they paid it cost $250 million. That's what the writers came up from, right? Like,
yeah.
What are you doing? I don't get it.
It's a little confusing because, sure, that's Secret Invasion. I mean, I guess the actors were, of course, more expensive. You had Nick Fury, you had Falsworth, you had I mean, the guy who played Talos, you know, I mean, I'm sure that he probably carries a decent amount of price tag too. But those are like three people that we could have talked about in Secret Invasion. Oh, Emilia Clarke. But
no, it was
paying them like $2 million per episode.
If you're paying someone $2 million per episode, if that's what you're paying somebody,
it doesn't sound right. But
that person has to be worth $2 million per episode. Emilia Clarke's not worth $2 million per episode. Game of Thrones, absolutely. There's a difference. Game of Thrones was 8 fucking seasons. As the show went on, you can negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
As it's like, who are you going to recast? You're going to recast me? No, we're not going to recast you. It's better to just keep you. It'll be worth more. Like, it's worth more to us to just keep you. But she couldn't have. But like, she couldn't have come in, going into season 7 and been like $50 million an episode, or I walked. They'd be like, we could find better for cheaper.
Right.
Like,
right.
We'll deal with it. But she probably had enough power to be like, it's worth it to pay this much more. Like, you're worth it. You're very good. Everyone likes working with you. You know, as opposed to like Terrence Howard, who came in Iron Man 2, was like, I want this much money. And they're like, all right. And Don Cheadle was like, I don't want that much money. And they're like, come on in, water's fine. I'm not saying Don Cheadle. I don't even think Don Cheadle undercut him by much. I actually, if I remember correctly, I think Don Cheadle ended up getting almost as much as Terrence Howard requested at the end of it by the time that movie was over. I think it was just the problem. The cast, it took the cast of Friends 8 seasons to negotiate $1 million per episode. Yes, but that was because they negotiated as a block in Friends. They refused. They said we all get paid the same, because a couple of them, specifically Jennifer Aniston and I believe Joey, were the ones who they wanted to pay the most to because they liked them the most for the story that was going on. And they were like, no, we all get paid the same, or none of us do. And they're like, fine, well, you'll all get paid the same. And that worked out. And then it took them 8 seasons. They did it after like season 2 or something, season 3, where they all agreed to it. And then by the time it got to season 8, they were making $1 million per episode. And I think Friends was 10 seasons. Swimmer headed that front. Schwimmer was like, Schwimmer was like the huge guy for that thing. Yeah, it was a huge deal. And again, but that's also different because Friends was a show about all of them.
Yeah.
Like, as opposed to like She-Hulk, which is a show about She-Hulk and some other people. So like, I get that like you pay $200 an episode for Mark Ruffalo because he's already established.
Right.
And to not have him in it would feel weird. But at the same time, like when they like Nick Fury was the main character of Secret Invasion, right? It was Nick Fury. Not Goofy. It was Nick Fury. It was, they got Maria Hill for one episode. Kingsley Ben-Adir, he's a great actor, so he probably got paid pretty decent too, because he kind of carried that entire show on his back. But like, Maria Hill was in one episode. The Skrull guy, I always forget his name. Ben Mendelsohn. He was in a couple episodes, not all of them, but he was in a couple. He'd probably got a couple of paycheck from that. But like, Nick Fury's the person who played Nick Fury's wife. Who the fuck is she? Generic Skrull 1 through 5. Who the fuck are they? Jenna Coleman, love her to death. Or not Jenna Coleman, Victoria Coleman. I forgot the actress's name. She wasn't much. Shooter McGavin was in a couple episodes. How much was he getting? Like, yeah, there's people in those, and it's fun to have them show up. But a lot of times, when something's very popular, people like. Daniel Craig played in the Star Wars movie. He played the stormtrooper that Rey convinced to drop his weapon. And he probably didn't ask for Daniel Craig amounts of money because he wanted to be a part of it. I don't think a lot of these people were like, I'll do. I don't think Marvel had to go far to find people that were willing to cameo in their shit. At the time, especially when She-Hulk was being filmed, which was, all those shows were being filmed around the time that like Endgame was in theaters or before it. So a lot of people were like, wow, this is like, of course I'm going to take Marvel at its peak. Infinity War just hit. They're like, we're doing TV shows. Teyana Parris signed on to play a role in WandaVision. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, everyone who picked up for that. Like, I'll wait for Goofy to get back. What I'm saying now, Goof, is how the shows were being recorded basically either before or after, just after Endgame. So like they didn't have to go far. You know what I mean? To find people willing to cameo for cheap.
Yeah.
Like people would be like, oh, I'll absolutely do a cameo in one of your shows for a little bit. It'll be fun. It'll be a cheap. You don't have to pay me much. So I don't even think Emilia Clarke was that fucking expensive because they didn't need her.
Yeah,
it could have been any person, and again, it just, I'm seeing this like we're gonna do 3 Marvel films and up to 2 Disney Plus shows. That sounds to me like somebody lied. somebody's like, the reason we didn't do well is we spread ourselves too thin, which may have been true, but not in the way that it wasn't about the amount of shows. It was about the quality control. You have a management problem. All of those shows could have been made at a leaker budget. They're TV shows. What were we expecting from them? You know what I mean? Like, what?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting movie level set pieces. I was expecting 1 or 2 episodes in each show to have a big set piece, usually the first and the last one. But everything in the middle has to be a TV show. Even when you talk about like Game of Thrones, 90% of every Game of Thrones episode, 90% of every Game of Thrones episode is just people fucking talking in a dimly lit room.
Wow.
That's a season. Go to Seasons. Seasons is just people just talking. There's no like. Occasionally there's a battle. Occasionally there's a battle, but it's someone gets stabbed, right? Sometimes. Most of Game of Thrones is people talking.
I'm looking at the salaries right now for Secret Invasion. Apparently, Emilia Clarke only made $750K from this.
Yeah, I believe that. Of course she did.
Olivia Colman made 800. The president himself, Dermot
Mulroney. Dermot Mulroney.
850K. Kingsley Ben-Adir made 1.5.
Yep.
Don Cheadle made 2 mil.
That makes sense because he's Don Cheadle.
Yeah, Talos, he made
Ben Mendelsohn.
He made 1 point. Yeah, he made 1.5. Apparently, Martin Freeman made 2.5 million and was only available. It only showed up in 1 episode, which is interesting. Kobe Smulders
was in
made
1 episode.
1 episode, 1 or 2 episodes, made 4 mil. And then Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson himself, made 20 million. So basically, what I'm trying to figure out is
where'd the money go?
Where did like the rest, other 210 million go? Like where did
they tried to do too much with that?
Oh my god!
Marvel is going to have an extra hard time explain where Gaia is in any future projects now too. She's the strongest character. That's their secret, Dacier. They're not going to.
Yeah,
they're just never going to. We're never gonna see her again. They're gonna forget it ever happened.
Yeah,
she doesn't exist. She lost really her powers overnight. It wore off.
What you didn't realize is that it was actually
Skrulls are terrible at technology. That's why they shapeshift. That's why the Kree and them are enemies. All right. So wait, this is also great. Marvel Studios and ILM Immersive announced What If, an immersive story coming exclusively to Apple Vision Pro. Let me tell you how nothing this... The fact that Disney wrote an article on this is embarrassing. Something like 1/3 of every person who has bought an Apple Vision Pro has returned it. They're like, what? Like, it's $3,500 for minutes of fun. Minutes of fun before you're like, I'm not walking around with fucking goggle hair.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can walk outside with it. Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, great.
Cool.
I could see.
Cool story, bro. Like,
yeah, you can. Google Lens, the Google glasses that were just glasses that did functionally the same thing, were like, everyone was like, dorky. You think goggles? It's the Apple fanboys. It's just people who are like, gotta have every Apple thing. What a waste. Whatever this is, first of all, it's a Marvel immersive story.
That's what I tell my wife every night. I have an immersive story
For a mixed reality experience. Who the ever-loving fuck cares?
Yeah, I don't know. This is like a hard pass. Oh, wow. It's incredible.
The only other things I'm commenting on before is Jennifer Connelly says she would love to come back, and just to she was from the Incredible Hulk. She played
Okay.
what's her name? Betty.
Yeah, Betty
In
Ross.
the Ang Lee one, I believe. Yeah. And for what it's worth, we'd love to have you back, Jennifer Connelly. We love you. Never change. And the only other thing I wanted to talk about is Marvel Rivals. It's a game that's coming out. It's available now. Everyone who's playing it online is a beta player, and they're all terrible. I've watched about 8 minutes of gameplay on 10 different streamers, and they're just not good at these type of games. They're just not good at it. Like, it's funny how many, like, mobile players, like mobile game players, people who played, like, Marvel Snap, right? And Marvel Strike Force and the MFR, Marvel Contest of Champions, are like, well, this is Marvel related. I'm going to try my luck at it, except, and this is going to blow your mind, mobile game players, including us, Goof, I don't know if anyone knows this, but we've dabbled.
Yeah.
Generally aren't fucking gamers. They might have been at one point, but no, you don't play mobile games because you can compete. Like, you don't play mobile games because you're putting up best in slot parses on World of Warcraft. You're playing mobile games because your thumbs don't work anymore. You're playing mobile games because your ability to play games is limited by the fact that you're old. You can't do it anymore.
Hey, listen, I got children. Okay, that's the reason.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Mobile games.
We old, bro. And with that, Goofy, I have to run to the restroom real quick.
Yeah,
so what I'm gonna do is leave you with this. Go. Play, have fun.
All right, let's get into this freaking thing right here. First and foremost, I saw a tweet and it kind of pissed me off about this. Somebody said that they don't like these new suits. What the you talking about? These ain't new suits, homie. These are the OG original from back in the day suits. Although, except for like Jubilee suit's a little bit off here because the Jubilee suit, like she went through her vampire stage, whatever. Either way, you get my point. These are not old suits. These are not new suits. These are old suits. Okay. Forge, Cable, Wolverine is the suit before he joined the X-Men. Morph, I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. We could pull up like the Storm one. We could pull up what Marvel Girl looks like. Right. These are old suits. These are OG suits right here. And they look pretty good. Maybe it's like a nostalgia thing, but they look pretty damn good. And what else was good was this freaking episode. Episode
Jubilee's in her new
9.
suit, for what it's worth.
I don't remember Jubilee. So this is like her vampire phase, isn't it?
Nope, this is new. Brand new, like 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
This
Okay.
is
All right.
Jubilee and Wolverine had a standalone run for like 5 issues.
Okay. That's fair. I haven't really followed Jubilee much, so
Really?
yeah. I know you're being sarcastic, but
Well, you joined the elite group of everybody.
No, but this past episode was really good, and somebody's mentioning Fatal Attractions here. I mean, heavily with Wolverine and Magneto, of course, ripping out the adamantium out of Wolverine. Definitely something from Fatal Attractions. Definitely also foreshadowing that we're freaking getting Onslaught, which, by the way, Bastion is a time traveler, right?
No.
Is he not? Well, he's from the future.
Comic or cartoon?
Cartoon.
No. Nimrod rewrote the DNA of a dude who fucked his wife, and they gave birth to Bastion. Bastion is a human with sentinel like compositry. That's why he's a technopath.
Because I mean, well, he did say he is from the future in the show.
No, he says he knows the future.
He knows the future. Okay, well, one of the things that I originally thought was like maybe he's trying to prevent something from happening that is going to happen anyways. Because one of my thoughts was, what if now this whole absolute points thing, what if the creation of Onslaught is an absolute point? It's just not happening in the way that we are used to it happening in the comics.
No, but Onslaught is the end result of Bastion.
Wasn't Onslaught before Bastion? Okay.
Operation Zero Tolerance is a response in the comics to Asteroid M being destroyed. I'm trying to remember now because now things get wonky because 90s. Because 90s and early 2000s. Bastion is, I believe, I'm going to confirm before I say something stupid that's going to be recorded.
Now, so to say what to answer what I just asked the question about, TLC mentioned that no, Nimrod is from the future. Bastion was born normally 9 months after one man's worth.
Yes.
So that was the second. So we had one Nimrod that was in One Man's Worth Part 1, and then in Part 2, basically
that was Nimrod. The same Nimrod that reformed.
That reformed,
but in the cartoon,
in the cartoon, but then
he was a part of him survived and went into the man who would eventually end up becoming Bastion's father.
Bastion's father, right?
And his mother was an anti-mutant waitress during that episode. His mother was anti-mutants.
Quick key fact: when he was carrying his mother and he put her in the bed, one of the things that he said was that it's quiet now.
This was always planned. Everything is going to plan.
No, but
that's what I was
going to say. Like the fact that he said that it's quiet now is kind of like a recall of when all the noise was so damn loud when he was a child and he could hear everything. But because Magneto shut down technology, essentially, it was quiet. He couldn't hear anything anymore. So he was like, "Oh, quiet now." So it's a quick little thing that I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, this was all planned. The Magneto thing, Magneto's just playing directly into his hands.
Yep.
That's all. It's everything.
Remember,
everything this is playing directly into his hands.
In the previous episode, he said he didn't want Professor X to die.
What Gyrick did was not a part of his plan. Like he mentioned that, except for
Professor X needed to be there. Hold on. I think I'm wrong. Okay, I was originally about to misspeak.
Okay.
You are correct.
In what?
Bastion is not trying to prevent Onslaught.
Okay. But what you're saying is that he is a time traveler? Is that what you're saying when I'm correct?
So the events of Fatal... No, he's definitely not a time traveler.
Okay.
The events of Fatal Attraction, which is what we're getting, which is it's kind of a mashup. We're getting the events of Fatal Attraction. The events of Fatal Attraction lead to Onslaught. Onslaught leads to a future in which Nimrod goes back in time.
Got you. Okay.
With Professor Charles Xavier. So they're combining these two into one story, which is why things are getting interesting. Because this is supposed to have happened prior to Bastion. Well, technically, in the comics, Bastion was a time traveler.
Mm-hmm.
He was the combination of Master Mold and Nimrod sent through a fucking portal back in time so that he knew what was going to happen, so he would affect the future. Now he has future knowledge through, like, the computer part of him. But his plan had to be to get Magneto to shut off all of the world. Because
why would you want that?
Because it didn't affect him. So now he controls all electronics in the world.
Okay.
So I think Bastion is creating the reality for Onslaught with the weapons to defeat Onslaught in the Omega Sentinels.
Okay.
I think that's how they're combining the stories. I think we're getting now with we have one episode left. Now we already know what's going to happen. There's no way it doesn't.
Yeah.
Magneto has finally taken the gloves off. He doomed the world. Everyone's saying it. Everyone's like, even there's a scene when Cyclops is talking. No, when Professor X is psychically talking to the president. He's like, we're about to enact the Magneto protocols. And Charles is like, it's not going to work.
Right.
You got to talk to him. Like, he's too far gone. And Magneto Magneto's still right.
I mean, he's not wrong. So let's be real. He's not wrong in his principle. The actions, though, to a certain extent, probably are a little bit wrong. But you could also then say, well, he's just striking blood first in something that they ultimately would. Because the whole idea of the Sentinels, really, at the end of the day, they are trying to prevent something that's supposed to naturally happen to then only give themselves over to another power, is what humans are doing. Humans are essentially giving themselves up to technology instead of giving themselves up to mutant evolution, which is the evolution of the human species. It's one or the other. Either way, you're giving up. It's just which one's going to take longer.
Magneto would be overreacting if he was reacting to Genosha.
Okay.
Because that was the actions of the few. Magneto's not reacting to Genosha. Magneto's reacting to Bastion. Bastion wants to kill all mutants.
Yeah. So TLC is right. I mean, that is it's not necessarily confusion. It's just more of just kind of what I remember, right? But yeah, confusing the comics in the show. Comics Fatal Attraction gets Onslaught, which begets Bastion. In the show, Bastion begets Fatal Attraction, which may beget Onslaught. I was just making the correlation to say that maybe Onslaught is a absolute point, and that regardless of however situations go, you're always going to get Bastion based on how
they
I
didn't
know
put the helmet.
things go.
They
in
didn't
the
put
comics.
the helmet on Charles's head for nothing. We're getting Onslaught.
Yeah,
We're getting Onslaught.
The show's version of Bastion's origin is 100% better than the comics.
Not only, yes, TLC's nailing our chat.
I don't disagree with
TLC,
that.
you're carrying chat hard. Step it up, other guys. Step it up, Jay. Step it up, rest of the chat. TLC's doing it. Bastion's origin, his mannerisms, and his menace are like Operation Zero Tolerance. I'm just gonna say it sucked. It was not good. It was like peak late 90s X-Men schlock. Peak, we don't know what to do. I'm messing with you, Jay. Messing like peak, we don't know what to do, so let's do the Brood again. Like, it was, they didn't know what was going on.
It's also very confusing. It's like, it's
also, remember,
over like so many damn different comics too. It's kind of hard to follow.
Marvel was going out of business for all of the 90s. Their sales and their toy sales, which were the two things that made Marvel money, toys and their comic sales and their ad revenue was all down, which is why they started selling off characters. They're like, hey, who wants to make movies with Spider-Man? And hey, who wants... We got the X-Men and Spider-Man because Marvel was at the verge of bankruptcy and they needed to sell those rights to have enough money to keep the door on.
There you go, Fox.
Yeah. And
Sony.
I remember Sony, who's not good at making movies, was like, we don't want the rest of your shitty characters, we just want Spider-Man. They're fighting real hard over all the shitty Spider-Man characters. I think X-Men came out before Spider-Man, but only by like...
Hey, what was it like? I think X-Men was 2000, and then Spider-Man was 2002.
X-Men was 2000, and Spider-Man was 2002. Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 3 were all about 2 years apart.
Okay.
So they were like nailing it with like comic book characters. And keep in mind, like, Feige was working on pretty much all of these movies. He was an executive producer, or an assistant producer at least, on most of these movies, most of the X-Men and everything. So that's where he got his start. And he hated how they did X-Men. He was like, there's a story that he snuck a comic to, I think it was Wolverine, like Hugh Jackman, he'll say. Like Kevin Feige snuck comics to me because it's a Brett Ratner or Bryan Singer, whatever dog shit pedophile director at the time. One of those two. One of those Hollywood sweethearts. Was like, I don't want any comics. I hate the comics. Comics are stupid. I'm going to tell a better story. Great. You nailed it. But, and you know, thanks. Yes, exactly. Onslaught is the Scarlet Spider of X-Men. A great character born of a horrible story arc. And I think that's what Bo DeMayo's doing. I think he's like, what if we just condense 6 years of stories into one story and tell it in a little bit of a better way? And, you know, I as the purist in me is kind of like, well, that's not how it happened. But the person with a functioning brain in me is like, this is much better than how it happened. It was bad, man. It was bad. And I was telling you before the stream, like, I didn't really pick up on comics until I was in my teens. But when I was younger, I babysitter, basically, I wasn't allowed to be left alone at home for probably fire related reasons. Yeah. You know, my family's not crazy. But I, you know, nearby, like a block or two away, was a small comic book shop that was owned by my uncle's, you know, best friend from childhood. So I would just be dropped off there, and I would stay after school, you know, or if I would go there after school, and for like an hour or two after school, I'd be at a comic book store, and he was babysitting me, so he's like, yeah, go read any of the back comics you want, just don't take anything off the shelves. And that's where I would pick up on comics and read a little bit. And this was in like 95, 96, 97. And all the back comics were from 94, you know, like.
Yeah.
So, you know, you pick up comics, you read. Like I used to say, like, I love Power Man because I love the Luke Cage comics because they were awesome. But, you know, the comics in the 90s were so wild that we get like this iconic scene, right? And I think they did a pretty decent job with it. Yeah, I think it was pretty good. It doesn't really make sense why his clothes are all ripped off because it wasn't after a battle. It's just what's happened. Like, he'd have more clothes, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah. Semantics.
Yeah, we'll deal with it when we deal with it.
I mean, listen, and there's been some commentary on why would you send Wolverine to go after Magneto, considering that, you know, Magneto could do things. Yeah, no, that's a valid question. My only explanation is, at the end of the day, Wolverine's the only one that will actually try to kill him.
Wolverine knew. He said it at the beginning of the episode. He said at the beginning of the episode, there's only one way this ends. Snicked. And he stabbed the dude.
Yeah.
He stabbed Magneto. And Magneto was like, cool story. Aren't you made of metal? That was Magneto's moment. That was when he decided to shut the world off. Because that's what he did.
Yeah.
And doom everyone on the planet. When he decided that, Wolverine knew we are not playing the same game we used to.
Yep.
Magneto fought us with kid gloves. In turn, we fought Magneto with kid gloves.
The kid gloves, yeah.
Magneto always could have done this. And he didn't have to be close. He could have done it from far away. He could be like, he never did. Because Magneto did not turn his back on mutants.
Mm-hmm.
Magneto now is like, if you guys are fighting, this is a very clear. I said, Magneto was right. Magneto, unfortunately, Magneto doing what Magneto was going to do is exactly what Bastion wants.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Magneto said, all right, there wasn't even an ultimatum, bro. That's like, he wasn't even like, hey, y'all, bring me the head of Bastion or I'll keep the planet dead or I'll kill this entire planet.
Right.
You have 24 hours. Nope. He was just like, hey, y'all, mutants are going to survive this because we're going to be on an asteroid. And when you're all dead, when all of you are dead, I'm going to turn it back on. I'm going to put the water back on. And we're all going to take the Earth again. That's his plan. His plan is not to live on an asteroid for the rest of his fucking life. His plan is no more humans. No, more mutants. You know, like
Yeah.
Wolverine did what Wolverine knew had to be done. And Magneto, in that moment, was like, there is no more time for games. Yeah. And Charles, there was a scene too when Charles was like, I'm in Magneto's mind, guys. I'm gonna fix everything. And then Cyclops Cyclops just kind of feeling the villain outfit a little bit. He's like, yo, this fits nice, bro. I like this.
Gene again makes this dude make dumb decisions. No,
Nope.
Professor X, they need more time. Do they? Do they?
Well, remember, if they don't shut off Bastion,
That's true.
if they don't stop Bastion, and they convince Magneto to fix everything, we are right back where we started.
Yeah.
It's you know,
True.
the humans will be alive and the mutants will die. And Cyclops is this was Cyclops' moment. Professor X was not thinking about the lives of mutants. He was thinking about the lives of Earth. He was like, we have to save our planet. And Cyclops was like, dude, flames are coming off of Cyclops. Like, his thing is concussive blasts. Like, they're like smoking. He's like, no, not gonna happen.
Yeah. Shout out to the writers. I mean, damn, that was a good episode, good story. A lot of cliffhangers still left. I mean, the biggest one is obviously Wolverine and what's gonna happen to him, which I know.
DeMeo
I know.
tweets the sad Wolverine meme, but instead of Rogue's ass, it's his adamantium.
Oh boy.
Does this mean we get a Guardians of the Galaxy appearance in the season finale? No. I can't speak to season 2, sadly. Wondering if Magneto will use the adamantium to make a weapon. Bishop better fix all this shit. Yeah, we all just waiting for Bishop. We all just waiting. Right? We're all just sitting here like, come on, Bishop. Like,
especially now that we know that Cable is compromised. Like, is this Cable or is this Strife? Which one is it? I don't even know anymore.
Here's a problem. Cable can't use his telepathy. Because Cable is currently using his telepathy, right?
Mm-hmm.
To stop the fucking virus. The only reason Cable is only a third metal is because he's using about 80% of his power at all times to prevent it from spreading. Cable just turned on all of his power against G.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at Strife.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was saying. Is this Cable or is this Strife?
Yeah. I mean, we're not looking at the actual Strife.
Yeah.
We're looking at Strife. He going straight techno. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Like, he can't not. Bishop ain't never fixed nothing. That's not true. That's not true. Bishop's just kind of like duct taping leaks that are causing more leaks.
That's it, though.
Like, spit on it.
I didn't know that part of Cable.
There's Cable, Young Cable, Strife, Nathan Summers. That's only 4 cables, man. There's like 40 more cables. Telepathy was just because he lost that ability. No, he's using like most of his psionic abilities to not take over. I mean, the 97 could be different. Right? Like, I don't think they've ever said that in there. But like Cable, specifically Cable, who is not Nate Gray, specifically Cable, he uses like 80% of his power to not give in to the techno-organic virus. Because if he does give in to the techno-organic virus, he becomes a Sentinel with Cable psionic powers.
Oh, crap.
And I believe, I don't know with the new canon if Strife would be considered Omega level. I don't know.
He is Omega level.
Cable is not Omega level. Cable's not Omega level because he can't be. We know the limits of his power, and it's holding back his virus. Nate Gray, X-Man, is Omega level.
Okay.
Actually, like, just throw a rock at any Summers and they're probably Omega level. I think Havoc is the only one that isn't.
Well, wait, shout out to him to be an alpha.
Right? Vulcan's
Alpha
Omega
mutant.
level. Vulcan is 100% Omega level. Let me look at that list again. Hold on.
You mean his long lost brother, Vulcan? The Guardian version of the Imperial Guard? Is that Vulcan?
All right. Here's the list again. Jamie Braddock, Bobby, Josh Foley, Jean Grey is an Omega level telepath. It's very important to note that she's an Omega level telepath, not a telekinetic. David Haller is an Omega level doing whatever the fuck he wants, because Legion. His Omega power is not magnetism, but whatever. Proteus, reality manipulation, psionic. Absalom Mercator's dog shit. We don't talk about him. Aurora Monroe. Exodus, who's garbage, is an Omega level telekinetic. Quentin Quire's dog shit. Franklin Richards is reality manipulator at the Universal. Gabriel Summers, Vulcan, energy manipulation. Yeah, Gabriel Summers is like Cyclops if Cyclops was not limited. Like, Cyclops is limited by the fact that he took a ding to the head and cannot control his powers. Vulcan has no such problems. And they all get their powers from different dimensions. Like, they all... Like, his comes from a pocket universe that has only concussive force in it. And they're all from different pocket dimensions that do similar things. Hope Summers is power manipulation. And Gabriel yeah. So it's basically just all the Summers. Anyone that's adjacent, but it's weird because I don't see
Summers adjacent.
Yeah. I don't see the most important thing here is a mutant whose dominant power is deemed to register or reach an undefinable upper limit of that power's special classification. Well, Jean Grey is both a telepath and telekinetic. Yeah. So I thought Emma Frost, I thought her second mutation, no, because it's registered. But again, when you have that clarification, it's not about how powerful you are. It's about the fact that you could just do anything. Like Storm can make it rain in space.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? I don't know. She could also like, she could also be like wind, space wind. Like, what is that?
Oh,
Fuck it. She controls what we consider to be the concept of weather, which is insane. Emma's not Omega level based on this. Also, I think the main reason she's not Omega level inherently is that she can't use her power in diamond form.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like, again, Forge is very good, but you know what he can do. We know what his limit is. We don't know what Magneto's limit is. Every time we think Magneto has a limit, he moves the sun, and we're like, all right, cool.
Regulates blood in his own body just to keep himself alive.
This is the new canon of Omega level. There used to be a lot. They used to throw Omega level out anywhere, but this is the new current canon of what an Omega level mutant is. And I don't believe anyone's been added to this list.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why Professor X is not on here.
Do you think would you consider him to be Omega level?
It's not what I consider. It's what they defined it.
Based on the definition, you think he's Omega level?
I think there are comics where he performs Omega level tasks.
Okay.
It's
Cerebro that enhances it.
No.
Cerebro is.
So Cerebro, what Cerebro does is it's like a tuning fork.
Powerful to a certain extent.
Yeah, but because of that, I think that's a lack of control. I don't think he can, because Cerebro helps him identify specific things, and Cerebro's dead. Cerebro's gone. Cerebra replaced Cerebro, and what Cerebra does is it takes Jean Grey's telepathy,
okay,
and expands it into space, basically. But no, he has to be Omega level. No, his daughter is the one who's from Shi'ar. What's her name? His daughter is Lilandra's dead. His daughter took over. She's Omega level. Actually, every child she's Omega level because she died and let out a psychic scream that traveled across the universe, and Charles picked it up and was like, "We're bringing her back."
Okay.
In the current run, so there's a lot of like super strong. Like Bobby Drake is psychotic. Bobby Drake does not control ice or water. Bobby Drake can make. There's no limit to how cold Bobby. He could absorb the heat off of anything and dissipate it. That's how powerful Bobby is. Wait, there was a question. If Gambit lived and he was there, would Rogue still switch sides? And if she did, what are the chances Gambit would do to Magneto what Wolverine did to him? If Gambit survives, nothing happens. Rogue doesn't kill Trask. Trask doesn't become an Omega Sentinel. They don't find out about it. No, absolutely not. She turns because Gambit's dead.
Yeah.
She lost the love of her life to she punches Magneto's dick off. But I don't think any of this, I think Gambit's death is, we talk about Genosha. Genosha was a bad fucking thing. Gambit's death is what the catalyst for this. If there is a time if there is a moment, if there is one thing that changes everything, it's Gambit's death. And that's a really good idea. Because now if they're going to undo everything, it's not going to be Genosha. They can't stop Genosha from happening. It's an absolute point. They can't stop Gambit from dying. If they stop Gambit from dying in Genosha, this entire thing goes differently. Rogue doesn't go on a fucking killing spree. The Omega Sentinels are Cable's in time to not stop Genosha because he can't, but Cable's in time to prevent Trask because he shows up then. Like, you remember, he throws the grenade, so he's in time to prevent Trask from becoming an Omega Sentinel. They're prepared. He explains Bastion and everything. Like, yeah, no, Gambit. I think that's how this. I think this ends with Gambit coming back. We don't get. I don't think we get. I mean, they're speedrunning everything. I was gonna say I don't think we get Onslaught immediately.
Probably just like more of like a cliffhanger at the very end of episode 10 that shares that okay, he's coming.
We're not. We're getting a Pyrrhic victory. That's what's gonna happen. Yeah. We're getting the. We blew up the Death Star, but all of the bad guys escaped. You know, we're getting the. We cut off Thanos' head, but everyone's still dead.
Yeah.
I think we're getting Gambit back. There's a theory I saw of Professor X seeing Gambit with the skull. Well, everything is Apocalypse. remember, Age of Apocalypse is I believe Age of Apocalypse is the future that Bastion in both the comics and here is trying to prevent. Right? Is anyone from the comics going to remember that as well, like what I just said? Oh no, where's Goofy? You okay, Goof?
I'm here.
Oh, it's good enough. Age of Apocalypse is the future.
Oh, okay.
That
I'm looking at that series comment.
Bastion in the comics, like that's the future that Nimrod comes from, if I remember correctly. Nimrod comes from the future where they have to stop Apocalypse. And I think Bastion is doing stuff to ensure, that he's born, but to stop all of the mutants now. Like, if I kill all the mutants now, there can't be an Age of Apocalypse because there's no mutants. And did they find Gambit's body? Did they bury his body?
Yeah, they buried him in the very next episode, or at least they had a casket there. So
yeah,
my head canon though is that I thought
they did.
that maybe Gambit might be a Prime Sentinel, foreshadowing a little bit here. I'm thinking Jean mentioned in one of the episodes that she could still tell that Trask was there, like she could still feel his mind or something like that. And I was like, well, he could pull a and then bring back Gambit, and then all of a sudden Gambit is a Prime Sentinel. And then somehow Jean is able to sense it. But now that theory for me is out because Jean is dying or dead. So now I feel like they're just gonna bring her back with her being Phoenix, and that's gonna go into this whole Avengers versus X-Men type thing again. And then maybe we get Onslaught, and then maybe we get Age of Apocalypse.
Well, TLC said AOE is in the future. It's an alternate present after Legion goes back in time to murder a young Magneto and accidentally kills Xavier. But isn't Nimrod from the Age of Apocalypse future? Like, it isn't the future, but isn't Nimrod from the future of the Age of Apocalypse? I'm pretty sure that's where Nimrod comes from.
So
Nimrod.
I thought Gambit exploded. Remember, Rogue at the very end of the episode was holding Gambit.
Yeah. No, he's definitely.
Feel you. Yeah. Huh. Okay. I don't know, but so that theory's out the door for me. I think the next one would be him coming back as a horseman of the apocalypse.
How did AOA end? I don't remember how AOA ended then.
By the way, isn't that how Wolverine gets his adamantium back? Isn't it from Apocalypse?
Apocalypse gives him back. Yeah, he rips it out of Sabretooth and puts it back in him. Which is crazy, because I forgot Sabretooth even had adamantium until I read that comic. I was like, oh shit, all right.
Of course, and then once again, the reason why we believe that we're getting Onslaught is because once he rips the adamantium out of him, that's pretty much
Professor X flips
Professor
out,
X just loses his freaking mind.
Goes Darkseid, rips Magneto out, and wipes Magneto's mind, and the remnant of Magneto. You know what, TLC? That's the best answer I could ever. I like the or something you added to it because that is probably the best case scenario I've ever seen. Nate Gray used a shard of the Macrae crystal or something. Like, yeah, sure. That might as well have been the reason. All I remember is we got Cyclops with an eye patch, which was like long hair. We see AOE Cyclops.
I mean, the crystal was mentioned in that episode where we saw that Professor X is still alive.
Age of Apocalypse Cyclops doesn't have time for your bullshit. Like, the one-handed Wolverine, yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to like Wolverine going into this whole Pharaoh mode, but we probably just won't see it.
I don't think they're gonna. I think that was hacking comic shit.
Yeah,
where Wolverine became like the one thing that did matter.
His healing factor did get better, so
his heeling factor improved. Yeah, because he was no longer trying to beat the heavy metal poisoning. Yeah. His healing factor. Isn't that Wolverine stabbed Cyclops' eye and Cyclops shot off Wolverine's hand? Yeah. Yeah, it was a weird time. AOA was weird. AOA was weird. It was a really fun story, though. It wasn't quite... So, if I remember correctly, so the Onslaught story was psychotic, though. Because, like, Onslaught...
I mean, the character himself is psychotic, but yeah.
Yeah, like, because, like, Onslaught just straight showed up one day, punched Juggernaut into space, like, just, like, punched him into space. We didn't hear anything for, like, a year. And then this just giant Magneto-esque figure with, like, fangs showed up. We didn't even see the fangs immediately. He was like, yeah. And he didn't even have a plan. He was just like, everything dies. Everything dies. I'm trying to remember, like, because he killed all of the Avengers. They were all dead. He murdered all of the Avengers. All gone. Because that event, that led to Avengers Disassembled. That led to the Rebirth story arc. We didn't have Avengers comics for a while. I don't even remember. I don't even remember, like, I feel like, again, the McCran Crystal was used to stop him. Like, I feel like the McCran Crystal is the MacGuffin. Like, it's the cosmic cube for X-Men. They're like, we'll figure it out as long as we have this crystal. What does it do? Shut the fuck up. That's what it does.
You hope. So I have one complaint about X-Men 97. It's
petty complaint.
Okay, it's a petty complaint. Okay, got it. But I was hoping they'd expand the roster more. Yeah, I think this is a good decision for them not to, because I think, honestly, they rushed through a lot of stories really fast. So introducing more characters on top of that would just make it even more less satisfying if they were to do that. Because then, we'd be like, oh, this is a nice character. What's their story? And then, oh, okay, no, we're moving on. You know what I mean? It's to a certain extent. I think they've done it right. But like you said, you're kind of nitpicking just to find something that you don't like. So like I do that too. You know what I mean? So I get it.
I try to find, like, it's really hard to love everything about everything.
Right.
And if you do, you kind of blind yourself to reality a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun to find things that you're like, that could have been a little different. Not even if it was bad, just like, like, I still think that they're speed running a lot of it. I understand why now. Because they don't have 20 episodes.
Yeah.
They don't have 13 episodes. They have 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a full season. They had what we have to accept now as full seasons. Like, how many episodes is The Boys season 4 going to be? Because if it's another 8...
No, it's like 8, yeah.
If it's another 8 season, I'm like, why are we even doing this? Why? I'm just going to go rewatch Supernatural.
I mean, at least
I'm going to go watch 22 hours. I'm going to watch an actual day's worth of content.
the boys episodes are at least long though. I mean, some of them are like 40, 50 minutes long. I mean, usually it's around 40 minutes or so. So at least there's like a lot more to flush out during that time.
The episodes feel good, but the one thing I'll give credit for is most of the time these shorter seasons end up being stronger most of the time. And that's 60-40. Because the other 40% of the time, we end up with like Moon Knight being about an episode and a half too long.
Yeah.
Like to the point where like I watched episode 4, was like awesome. Then I watched episode 5 and was like, we didn't like I get it, but like we didn't need an entire episode for this. This could have been broken down into the beginning of one and the end of another. Like what are we doing? Like why?
Episode 5, but episode 5 in particular was a little strange with the whole
WandaVision, like the first episode was 30 minutes, the second episode was 35 minutes, the third episode was 40 minutes, and then they started getting to like hour-long episodes. Yeah. So it was almost like they were like, I think they even said they edited it to go from like 7 episodes or 6 episodes to 9 episodes to increase the runtime, because they're doing the shitty. We have an idea. If we make this weekly release, people will have to pay for our sub more often. And it's like, you're right. Or they have to pay for it once at the end. And they're already down subs. Like, they already have 153 million subscribers. And they're like, don't worry, we're ending password sharing. Like, cool, you're going to have 143 million subscribers and a shit ton more pirators. Like, what are you doing? Do you not know how it works? I just remind people all the time, the only reason Spotify is paid for is because it's slightly easier than pirating.
Fair.
Spotify is so much easier to do than pirating that I pay $10 a month for it and I don't even think about it. The second you sell me Spotify is $25 a month, well, you have to understand what you're getting for it. Yeah, what I'm getting for it is I'm going to download all of the songs I want to listen to and put them on my fucking, my what's it called? My phone. And just listen to them on my phone.
That's fair.
X-Men finale. We got a lot of stuff to do in this finale, though. We have...
Yeah.
Like, what do you think's going to happen? Because we're talking about it next week. We have 3 days, right? 4 days before it comes out.
So, cliffhanger on Onslaught, like, fully, though. Like, but here we go.
Do you even
Onslaught.
think... Do you think they're going to show us Onslaught, or do you think it's going to be like a post-credit scene?
I think it's going to be like a post-credit scene. Something like that.
Does Bastion survive?
I feel like Bastion has to end in this episode, which is unfortunate because I don't really feel like we've really seen Bastion be Bastion.
Do you think he's gonna die winning?
There's a couple of thoughts that I've had so far. Is that this episode could end with everybody dying, which would be kind of cool. I'm probably the only one that feels that way, but it would be kind of cool if they did, like where everyone dies, and then we have to really figure out what the hell is going on in the season 2. But where I think things are gonna go is that they're gonna find a way to beat Bastion. We're gonna get a cliffhanger of Onslaught. We'll also get a slight cliffhanger of Phoenix coming back. And then ultimately season 2 is going to be, we have to be Onslaught. And then, oh no, Phoenix?
I've seen like new rock stars talk about that. No chance. I don't think like there's no reason to.
There doesn't seem like any reason to, but the whole idea
Phoenix is not a bad guy. Dark Phoenix is a bad guy because Dark Phoenix is Jean's like shitty attitude,
Sasha
and the Phoenix
basically, yeah.
Like
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, Dark Phoenix. Also, Dark Phoenix is boring. Oh, TLC asked the thing we talked about earlier. I want to know why DeMeo was actually fired, because if it was just OnlyFans, they need to rehire him. Bro, we're getting dangerously close to DeMeo had to do some real ratchet shit for me to be like, it was justifiably firing him. At the beginning, we were talking about it like, yo, I think it's because everyone says he's hard to work with. He's kind of a dick. But this is what we got with him running the show. So, like, maybe, just maybe, Stanley Kubrick the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, deal with it, because we're getting quality. You guys don't have, like, then if anyone's complaining, fire them. And then replace them with people who will do what they're told and not bitch. But, on the other side, I don't know, man. Like, what does he have to have done for you to be like he has to be like Chris Brown levels of shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm at
the point where it's just like he had to do something so terrible that like maybe he should be in prison, but not quite. Like whatever he has done has to be that bad, or maybe he needs to just apologize for the sake of us, just so that we can get him back. Whatever it is that he did, apologize, just so that he can continue to create for season 3.
Well, I don't know that it was his OnlyFans. They never said it. That's just what people are speculating. There's no confirmation about why he was fired, and he won't talk about it.
Right.
So, like, people said it's because he's an OnlyFans. People said he was hard to work with. Like, we only have, like, weird, like, third-party conversations about it. And I'm like, at this point, man, if he ain't Harvey Weinstein...
That's funny.
Like, if he's not Kevin Spacey, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's...
There's a goalpost? Okay.
Yeah, there's a line in the sand. Like, there's a line where you're willing to be, like... shitty people get a pass, not for being shitty, but for the quality of what they're doing.
Yeah.
You could separate the art from the artist. He has to have done something that makes it so that, like, it's not worth it. And considering that this is the best thing Marvel has produced in at least 2 years.
Yeah.
It is the best thing. This is the best thing Marvel has produced. There's other things that weren't bad. This is the best thing Marvel has produced.
It has. It's been.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's got to be... Even if he killed somebody. No, I don't even care if he killed somebody. Let him back. Fuck. Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe is a monster, and I'm still like, Robert Downey Jr. Fucking animal. I don't know. All right, so this is the promo trailer for episode 10.
While you X-Men have been holding hands, we've been placing dominoes. Think there's really gonna be a war?
Believe in each other. We face this as we always have.
Everything he fought for now belongs to me. My X-Men.
Almost forgot.
Wait.
Am I going to war or a circus?
This is 2 days ago. We saw this. This was the episode 9 trailer.
Yeah.
But the scariest thing about Genosha wasn't the death. It was a thought. Magneto was right.
Sorry, just a minute. Oh, his mirrors up.
Wait.
All right. Oh, go ahead.
All right. No, it's not live. Now if I see Rogue wasn't all over see, like, what is this? What is happening here?
I'm Eric Voss.
I don't have time for an Eric Voss video right now. Thank you. I thought there was another trailer from Disney Plus. Maybe it'll come out. I don't know, man. All I know is that tomorrow, Wednesday's episode is gonna leave a gaping hole that we don't have any more Deadpool trailers, right? We're good. We're done on Deadpool. We're like, until Deadpool comes out, we got nothing going on. Why is Phase Zero the best MCU? I don't know. We're the best MCU podcast. You shut your mouth, randomcomicbook.com website. I don't know, man. All I know, we're going to have episode 10. Next Friday, we're going to talk about it. And then we have, what, a month between episode 10 and Deadpool? What's Deadpool's release? July or June? July. Hold on. Someone on Kick. Do you think the MCU can portray Galactus as an actual ominous threat, or will we end up as a fancy? No, I think so there's two different kinds of the MCU, right? There's the MCU that Kevin Feige cares about, and then I think that for the last 2 years we've gotten a version of the MCU, 2 or 3 years, that like Kevin Feige may have had to like outsource a lot of what was going on, right? Yeah. Where I think that like he was taking risks, and more important, I think he was getting notes. I could feel like he was getting notes. Like, we need this type of movie. We need this type of movie. And I think you could see it, right? I think you could see it in what they were trying to do in Eternals. In Eternals. They were trying to make like a high concept of almost like a drama, like a character drama, but they failed because it doesn't mesh with the action that the viewership needed. And if they didn't have action, that would have failed completely. So they chose a different path, and that failed completely. So but like, I don't think they've had, as far as movies are concerned, I don't think they've had a complete miss in all of Phase 4. I think they've had more mistakes than not. Like Thor: Love and Thunder, I think, was more mistakes than not. I think Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was more mistakes than not. And like I mentioned earlier with pro wrestling, high spots don't make a match. The match makes the high spots matter. I don't care if someone I've never seen does a backflip, but I care if somebody I'm interested in gets chokeslammed through a table. If the good guy, you know. So I think they can knock Galactus out of the park. I think we were talking, because we were earlier in the broadcast, we were talking about they cast somebody that's definitely not a short-term cast.
Yeah.
Like they cast a Galactus. I think there's a danger zone. There's a point, and I think that right now, X-Men, all of the people who generally shit on Marvel products on like the online, blogosphere kind of location, they've been oddly quiet about X-Men. I'm not going to name them because I don't like to give attention to people who are contrarian for the sake of it. But there are people who, anytime Marvel we all know the Marvels wasn't good. There were people who kind of like pitched their tent to how bad the Marvels was. And it was because of, you know, wokeism or whatever. No, the reason the Marvels was bad was really simple. Really simple, actually. They didn't have good writing. They didn't have a good director. They didn't have good storytelling. They didn't know what the story they wanted to tell. And they tried to tell a story for a demographic that wasn't theirs. Your demographic exists. Yeah, well, that's the point. They wanted a female-driven story that appeals to females, which is, and I hate using the word female in general, but like that's what they wanted. I think they failed. I think what they did was they forgot that like you could have a female main character, but you're still telling a Marvel story. You're still the comics that sell, the movies that sell, the things that sell are the things that involve different races, genders, whatever you want, doing the thing that people like, that your fans like. So the reason Hawkeye works so well, but She-Hulk didn't, is because Hawkeye was a character drama with action, and She-Hulk was a weak comedy with no action. And you were trying for an audience, but you can't besmirch your current audience to try for this new one. You have to do it both. You could do both. It's possible, like Fallout. The Fallout show, which Goofy hasn't seen yet, was so good as a show that if you are not a fan of the games, but you watch the show, you might become a fan of the games. No one's going to go take a chance at seeing a Marvel movie after most people come back and go, it was terrible.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with that. No purple. Did you guys discuss the MCU new roadmap plans? Yes, we talked about that at the beginning of the state. We actually didn't talk about X-Men until the end, but we talked about the casting, and then we talked about how they're doing the 3 movies. And the biggest thing, as Goofy brought up, it might just be I don't think the issue is quality. I think the issue is control. I think that when they have so many projects in there, the people who are good at what they do can't do it anymore.
Right.
I think that's how you end up with Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi was a good movie. That could have been a great movie, and it wasn't because I don't think Feige had enough of involvement. I think he's just like, go, figure it out. I think they got notes. I think they're like, we got to make a movie for China. We got to make a movie for China. We got to make a movie for China. Quick. What is China like? Chinese shit. Go. And then they're like, well, it was it was a bad movie, like, or it was a dumb part of it, but I don't think it was bad. I really think Phase 4 was bad comparatively, with like 2 exceptions being just awful. But like, people didn't like Love and Thunder, and I promise you, there's more people that watch these movies than read the comics.
Yeah.
And yeah, plenty of people are like, they did gore dirty, like the hardcore fans, like the actuallys like me. But then there are, you know, goofies who are fans, but not the same like nerd level of hatred as I have for that shit. And you just didn't like it because it just didn't make sense.
I was there with gore. You know, I'm a massive Thor fan, so that was...
Well, I'm just saying, like, in general, like,
yeah,
you still didn't feel it because it just didn't make sense. Like, you took this character as the God Butcher, and in one movie, you didn't make him a God Butcher at all.
You made him a child kidnapper.
It's hard to take... Iron Man can beat Whiplash, Crimson Dynamo, Ironmonger in one movie. These are villains that do not arcs. These are, Spider-Man could beat up the Vulture, Spider-Man could beat up Dr. Octopus. Spider-Man can't beat up the Green Goblin in one movie. That's the point. Arch villains don't get one movie, and that's something that older movies kind of failed at. And for what it's worth, the old X-Men movies didn't fail at that. They knew that Magneto was a big villain, but they never tried anything else. all of the original 3 X-Men movies were X-Men Magneto, X-Men Magneto, X-Men Magneto featuring Famke Janssen. Like, you know.
The last one, yeah, it was true.
It was so bad.
Kind of just erased certain movies out of my head after a while.
I don't think the movies a year thing is a problem. Like, we'll find out. We have one movie this year. It's Deadpool. It doesn't have to be fucking perfect. It has to be good. It's got a lot of weight on it. It has to be an enjoyable movie that makes sense and at least gives us direction. We have no direction right now. We've been doing this for how many weeks now? Almost 2 months?
Yeah, almost, yeah, about there.
Yeah, at least 1.5 months. We've been doing this for 1.5 months on this channel. We've been doing it for longer than that on our own channels, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know what to say. I truly don't know what to say. Like, we don't know what's happening. We can speculate all the time, but you haven't given us any roadmap. We're going to make a video about whether the incursions matter. Wink, wink. Go watch it on Keeping It Comic. We can make those videos. We can have that fun, and that's fun theory crafting. We don't know. Why is there a giant marble statue coming out of the ground? It's marble. So but that's new land. So people are fighting over it. Granted, it's not a celestial anymore. It's entirely marble. But that's a whole bunch of marble now.
Yeah.
They said they wanted to cast Ben Affleck as the head of Roxxon in something going forward. I don't know. All I know is we got a Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 4, and Sony wants it to be a massive smash down the walls, $1 billion, have call back, people from the past. And Marvel's like, no, we already set up that he's not doing that anymore. He's a regular guy. He now has to fight. That's what we're doing with Kingpin, guys. We're making it him versus the Kingpin, and we're gonna have it's gonna be a big movie. And they're like, no, he needs to fight God in space, and Sony just sucks at what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, But I have hopes for Fantastic Four. We said it all the time. It's these 2 movies, right, Goof?
Yeah. It's Fantastic Four. It's Fantastic Four. It's Deadpool. I'm looking up something up.
The best part of Echo was when I stopped watching it. That was the best part of Echo. They started so strong on that show.
I mean, episode 3 with the fight scene was just dynamite. I don't mind. Now, then the series continued.
Who was that series for? Who was that series for?
And the thing about it is, for a character that not a lot of people know, and this is always my issue with source material, right? It's always, I get it. Source material is tough to follow directly. But for a character like Echo that doesn't have a major rich backstory,
welcome back to New Rockstar.
Why not go with something? Why not go with a version of it that a lot of people liked, which was her origin, the fact that she could copy other people's fighting styles and moves, which basically what her fighting styles were copied from Daredevil. Marksmanship was copied from Bullseye. And I think some Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee movies or whatever, that was kind of her thing. But
she was she was like light Taskmaster with a little bit of magic power, a little bit. And then she got the Phoenix Force. I think she's currently the Phoenix Force holder, but I'm not sure in the comics. And she got the Phoenix Force.
She did get it because it was this whole battle between her and. Actually, no, it wasn't just her. It was like Captain America, but that whole series. It was like Captain America, Namor.
No, Namor won it, and then the Phoenix Force was like, "Go away, you piece of shit," and then jumped
basically.
into her instead because, historically speaking, fuck Namor.
To be fair, he's like F everybody. So I mean,
Namor. I love Namor. I love him because he's such a garbage character.
He really is.
He's like I'm on the good guy Illuminati. And I'm on the bad guy, the Cabal. Like, I'm on both of them. He's just like, listen, all I care about is sleeping with Reed Richards' wife. That's all he wants. Like, Sue, come live underwater with me. She's like, ew, with your gills and your winged feet, get out of here.
You loved him in the comics. You hit him in the Black Panther too. I actually thought he was pretty good at Black Panther.
We got a kid loves Black Panther too. We got it. We have to. We have to.
There was, I don't know. Like there was no way that you were gonna get without T'Challa. There was no way that you were gonna get a comic book accurate Black Panther Namor. You weren't gonna get that version of him.
Well, also the reason he attacked Wakanda doesn't exist. I feel like that was also because of Onslaught, but maybe I'm just putting Onslaught everywhere. I don't know.
So what they did, I mean, he was slightly savage as he would be in the comics. He just wasn't fully there. But once again, Wakanda Forever, I have a hard time saying bad things about that movie just simply because of the
it was the
circumstances
best
of that movie.
they could do. And that's and it wasn't bad. That's the whole thing. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, if it was bad, I would.
If it was awful, bad, I'd be like, man, they needed T'Challa. Yeah. I feel like it was fine. It was like I think the problem with Phase 4 and now like the 2 movies in Phase 5 that were just miserable. I think the problem was for every one great movie, there was 2 that were like meh. And I think that's why it just felt dirty. I truly
it's also the series too. You gotta keep in mind, like it's also the series too. It's like you had Guardians of the Galaxy, and then shortly after Guardians of the Galaxy, you had Secret Invasion, and then.
Well, again, I like to separate.
Before that, you also had Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which a lot of people really liked. And they were like, this is a great Marvel series, great Marvel movie. Even though it wasn't, of course, MCU. And then, you know what it was? Secret Invasion had a really good trailer. They had some really good trailers.
I was hyped.
You had expectations.
I thought we were getting an espionage. I thought we were getting like an espionage spy thriller where Nick Fury was just, piss and vinegaring his way through the fight. No.
Yeah.
No, we got like and it sucked because like I believed Kingsley Ben-Adir. I believed him.
He was pretty
I was like, he has every reason to be mad. Mm-hmm. Nick Fury gave up, didn't tell nobody.
Yeah.
Nick Fury, the problem, and I like the idea of Nick Fury juggling too many balls in the air, balancing too many plates. Couldn't do it. And I like that. And then they just kind of were like. Also, here's a fun fact. I didn't even remember this until someone brought it up to me. Skrulls can tell Skrulls apart.
They can. Okay. Well, that didn't show up.
They confirmed that in the series. When the first Skrull walked into the thing, someone just walked up and they said, you don't have to come in like that. Because they didn't know that was he didn't say like, is this the Skrull encampment? He just walked up.
Yeah.
They were like, you're a Skrull, come in. Skrulls can tell Skrulls apart because they're Skrulls. Skrulls can't hide from other Skrulls. It's actually a huge thing with Hulkling. Skrulls can't hide from other Skrulls. So the ending of that show, which was already stupid, is now also dumb. It's both stupid and dumb.
there's a reason why. So there's some information that went out that basically talks about how they're going to retcon what the president did at the very end of Secret Invasion. And the way they're going to retcon it is they're just going to pretend it never happened.
They're gonna no. I'm gonna tell you what they're gonna do. They're gonna look at their numbers of how many people watched it and went, we don't have to address it at all. They fired everyone from Blade.
Oh, the new one, the new movie.
They fired everyone. Now someone said they fired Marsha Ali. I don't think so.
No,
I think they kept. Yeah, but I heard that they were gonna cast Wesley Snipes to do something. Which might as well. But they fired like the entire writing crew for Blade. All of them are fired. They're like, you're all gone. They fired, and
that
they
movie's coming out in 2029. Okay,
2097. Marvel Studio Blades find new director and writing team. Blade will now be moving ahead with Lovecraft Country, which is a phenomenal show. Jan Demange, while Michael Starbury will be rewriting the script. Blade will now be hitting cinemas September 6, 2024. This year?
What?
No,
that's not true.
Okay, no.
This is an old article.
No, but they just... Hold on. Marvel's Blade movie gets a very surprising writer to finish its story 1 month before filming starts. Nick Pizzolatto from True Detective. Oh my God. They can't, man. They can't. They just... And then I think they also did the same thing with Daredevil.
Yeah, Daredevil was a little bit earlier than that.
Are
they? I think they're done filming Daredevil now, aren't they?
Daredevil Born Again gets Punisher showrun. This is 2023. No, this is last year. There's still a more recent one. Tools, past month. No. Trying to find it. Daredevil Born Again releases writers and directors as Marvel plans overhaul of series. Disney series recently parted way with head writers and is currently seeking new writers to revamp the show. With less than half of the series' 18 episodes order shot prior to the beginning of the SAG-AFTRA strike, Marvel's also released the directors for the remaining episodes. Some elements already shot will be used. Marvel's looking to take the show in a new creative direction. Daredevil is still unable to return to full-scale production as the actors remain on strike. Okay, this is October. Jesus Christ. All I know is that they've been firing everything.
Yeah.
They're like, man, we got to stop hiring idiots.
I mean, it took them a little while to figure that out.
I mean, the problem is it didn't. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't. They needed this year off. Because they didn't know how... You gotta imagine that, like, in the boardroom, someone who's writing... They're selling the story in a different way when they're telling it, right? They're like, okay, so here's my idea for Secret Invasion, right? What if we do all... Like, imagine the pitch that you made for that. Okay, so we're gonna have Nick Fury, right? And he's got all of the secrets, and he has to come back one more time just to make sure that the Skrulls that he worked at in Captain Marvel are trying to turn against him, so he has to stop it from happening. So we're gonna have the entire time Skrulls being very popular people in the MCU. We don't know for how long, but they've been blowing into positions of power, and we're gonna get Emilia Clarke to play the daughter of the guy from the cap. Like, all this sounds great, right? And they get to the writing room, and then eventually the writers just kind of go in there. They fucking take a giant shit on a piece of paper and then run it completely over an old typewriter. And they go, look, a script. And they're like, wonderful. Why don't we give Emilia Clarke Drax's arm tattoos? And at some point in time, they're both immortal. And one of those two, I'm not done. I'm so mad at this show. One of those two was a trained assassin. And one of those was Emilia Clarke. And you're telling me that they both got the same powers, but Emilia Clarke won? Because she's the good guy?
She had more will. Don't you understand?
She had more will than the dude who was willing to start World War III by assassinating the president? She had more will than assuming if all of the planet was destroyed, the Skrulls can live in it? Her will was stronger?
Yes, it was stronger. Her good will was stronger than his will for evil.
I would love to be a Hollywood writer. I would love to. I would love to be a Hollywood actor. I would love to. I am a schlocky content creator and an IT project manager. Those are the things I'm good at. I do the things I'm good at. I'm just saying, there's a lot of writers in Hollywood that need to go back to bartending. Maybe go back to school. Maybe, if you have a degree in writing, write a book. Ghostwrite for somebody. Be an editor at a magazine. Or do what anyone else does. Get a regular 9-to-5 job that doesn't involve you shitting on people's things that people love. But, they had no idea, man. They didn't. Know that Marvel had no idea the quality of the negative quality of stuff until it was too late. And then they're like, okay, we should probably take a look at all this. And they're like, oh God, why? I don't even think Feige was on set for any of Thor: Love and Thunder.
The director, I think, literally called Echo literally called her lame. The story, her comic book story, lame. I was like, oh, why are you working on this project again? Well, what can we say? At least X-Men 97 is going well.
It's going to be a gaping hole. What are we going to talk about? Next week, we know what we're going to talk about.
X-Men
Maybe even
97.
the week after. Maybe even the week after. What are we going to talk about between now and July 26th? What are we going to talk about?
I guess I'm hoping that we actually get another Deadpool trailer just so that we can talk about it. Even though I hate looking at Deadpool trailer, so you know this about me. I think you do. I don't like trailers because I find that I find out too much information because I am the person like you who will sit there and just slow-mo it and say, did you see that? Oh, that's interesting.
I think I
cannot help myself.
But we can't know.
Is me.
We can't know the problem. We can't know how much the trailer shows us until we see the movie.
Right.
And sometimes the trailer shows us too much. And sometimes the trailer shows us the right amount. Mm-hmm. I don't ever want to see a scene from the last half hour of a movie in the trailer. Period. End of discussion. I don't care if it's the best set piece. I don't care if it costs you $20 million to make. Don't show it to me. If you can't get me hyped for your movie without showing me the things in your movie that are dope, if you can't do that, you suck. Yeah. Right now, we don't know. I feel like Deadpool is hiding a lot from us. It has to be. And I don't... who's the big bad? I don't even think we know who the big bad of that is yet.
We probably don't.
They're like, look, it's Cassandra Nova. I'm like, yeah, but nobody's talked about it. Also, in the 2 scenes we've seen with her, they're not the last scenes. They seem relatively early. All things
seem
considered, right?
kind of like middle of the movie, very much middle of the movie,
And that's
like,
fine.
There's still like 45 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah, like I feel like when they jump through that portal, that's where the Act 3 starts. That is the end of Act 2. And I'm cool with you showing me that, but like I feel like there's an entire like, bro, if we see a live action Mr. Sinister, what are we gonna do?
Probably do, oh my God, put my hand over my face. That's probably it. And then come home and make a video immediately about it. That's probably it.
Do we even have a full fucking cast list for that movie? Owen Wilson is in the movie as Morbius. Okay, well that's incorrect because it says Matthew McFadden is also Morbius, unless that's a spoiler. Or Mobius, sorry. Okay. Let's see. Kelly Hu is coming back, we know. McFadden is Paradox, cool. Jennifer Garner as Elektra, I haven't seen her yet. Ray Park as Toad, we know. Yukio, always great. Shatterstar's in it, we saw him in a second. Azazel back. Colossus in the movie. And there's other people too. Patrick Stewart rumored. He's got nothing to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't think he's in this movie.
Okay, we got, let's see. We know where 2 barmen and a New York pedestrian are. Great. Great. I feel like there's more things spoiled, though. I feel like we know about, like, Sabretooth.
Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently they didn't bring back Fire Fist.
Why would you mention it?
Huh?
Why would you mention it?
Well, he was great. He was great with all the things he used to shove up his butt.
Yeah, it's fantastic, that guy. Miss him. Poor little bugger.
Okay, here's my problem. See this guy?
Yeah.
He's got an executive producer credit. And I just want you to show the movies that he is an executive producer on. All of the X-Men films, the original ones, and the new ones. Fan Four Stick.
Mm-hmm.
Logan. Both Deadpool films. And he directed Dark Phoenix.
So is he actually a director, or is he just the one funding it?
I am convinced that he is a standard Hollywood producer.
Okay.
Where he just has enough money that he throws money in so he gets money back. And I think that's just how it works. Okay. Because he's not good. He's not. I mean, he did Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, that says enough for me personally.
Which was somehow worse than The Last Stand. Which is crazy. I want to believe Brad Pitt will show up. I think he'll play the Vanisher. I think there'll be a scene where he says, "Hey, Vanisher," and that's it. But I don't think we'll ever see him. I think it'll just be a throwaway nod. Remember, he did make the joke. It's good to see Paul Rudd doesn't age.
Right.
Or Paul Rudd is finally aged or something. Okay, let's see. Look at all of these VFX people. How do we already have
700 names?
How do we already have? You mean I could just find one of these people. Hold on. Concept artist, Mary Mallon. And I could blackmail her into spoiling the movie for me?
Yes.
All right. I got an idea, guys. I'm going to go blackmail some people. Oh, all right. I think we're both ready to tap out.
Yeah.
I feel it in our bones. But you know, every Friday night at like 10:30 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be here. You can check us out on YouTube. It's the same thing. Just YouTube.
Check us out on YouTube.
You can tell your friends and family. Don't. But you could. And we could feel the energy go down. Yeah. We're usually good for 3 hours. 3 hours 20 is usually pushing it. We're at 3:50 right now. We are.
Oh no! Oh yeah, this is done.
We are dead. We are.
Yeah, we're dying. This is it, guys. Although we to the end of the road.
As we go on, we remember going to sleep on Friday night. I'm done. Have a good night, everybody. Have a great day.
Y'all take it easy. Y'all be good.